Hey, what's up? Welcome.
Welcome.
There's my intro.
Hey.
I'm just kidding.
Yep.
Hey, welcome back, everyone, to the American Sushi Podcast, episode 12. I am Evan, and I've got my co-host, Brandon, too spooky.
Hey.
He's got a long intro. Anyways, how's your day going?
Oh, well, it's, fresh. I read, 13 hours of Jojo's yesterday, so I guess I'm feeling very good on the inside. But at the same time, still focusing on my surroundings, getting used to the day.
Yeah, well, you're ready to be really upset?
Oh, yep, that's what I come here for every Friday.
Sweet.
Or every other Friday.
So I hope, either or. So I hope you've got your twitch.tv/American_sushi page up, because I'm going to show some of the final cameos that I have ordered for you in celebration of how great of a person you are.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Can I close out of Twitch? Please.
After these four, you can. Are you excited?
Okay. I'm ecstatic.
All right, so this is Dominic Nati. I don't know what he does, but he is on Cameo for really cheap, so I got him. So here we go.
Okay.
Hey,
Whoa.
it's Dominic from the Dominic Natty Show. Brandon, I heard you are starting
He's got a really cool
voiceover
hairstyle, I think.
YouTube channel.
Oh, am I?
And I'm proud of you. This is a great idea. Remember, you gotta have content that
I
is
remember
unique.
what this guy says.
Something that no one else is doing.
Oh.
Something that'll drive people to your channel because nothing else is like it.
Oh, we already
and
fucked
I know
up.
that you're gonna do that, Brandon.
Hey,
However,
thanks, guy.
a 2-minute intro is way too long.
Dang it!
Like 30 seconds.
Aw.
You got this, Brandon.
Oh, thanks, dog.
Was that about your
You know
intro?
what? I'm glad. I'm really glad that he said specifically, 30 seconds is okay because my intro is actually 22 seconds.
Yeah,
So,
well, I mean, 2 minutes is too long, so that's the issue there.
you're right. It is. So I'm gonna make it 4 minutes.
Okay, cool.
Then it'll be so long that it's not
Then it's
too
just
long
a video.
anymore. Well, I mean,
It's got to be 10
Maybe.
minutes and 1 second.
well, actually, 8 minutes is
Oh,
now
that's
for
right, it did
mid-rolls.
change.
So so now it's the 8-minute rule.
All right, this one's not going to loop, so get ready. Heard it 4
Oh,
times.
there's
You're
another
welcome,
one.
guys. Yeah,
Okay,
I've got
cool.
I'm not going to play the same guy 4 times. I'm going to play 4 different guys. So get ready. This guy's known as White SpongeBob, and he's a TikTok influencer.
White SpongeBob.
Yeah,
huh?
I'm pretty sure Dominic, the last guy, is a radio host, I believe.
Okay.
So
I mean, he did say he had a show with his
Okay.
name, so.
Yeah, so this is White SpongeBob, TikTok influencer.
Oh, okay.
I think he's very
Well,
excited to talk to
Do
you.
you think it's former TikTok because Trump
Ladies
killed it?
and
I
gentlemen,
hope so.
boys
Whoa!
and girls,
I like that zoom.
Jedi and not
Yeah, he gets a
Jedi.
little kooky.
Please
little kooky and
stay
crazy.
in your seats. Keep your ears wide open
Oh,
because it's time for the American Sushi Podcast. Whoa! Say what? And cut.
oh,
There you go.
Hey.
I hope that's good enough.
Oh, it's great.
Good luck on the podcast.
Thanks, dog.
Also, Brandon,
Oh.
good luck on your dream to be a Pokemon Go
So awkward because
streamer.
I can't
Yes.
hear it at all, so I just have to react
Okay.
to you.
Catch the shiny Mewtwo.
oh, yes.
I hope you didn't pay more than 5 cents. On
Well,
They're all at least $1. The most
I will
I
say
paid
that's-
was $5.
that's probably my third favorite of all time. I
Ooh,
think the
well,
wholesome
don't-
one still got the top.
Yes, Aaron Nosey.
Then we got the guy who was just very confused about my vasectomy. And then I think the one after that.
It was a second circumcision.
Oh, fuck, you're right, sorry. And then I'd say my fourth favorite at this point is definitely the dude who just smacked his bed. just
Jumped
with his
on
full
it.
weight. Yeah, with his full weight. But yeah, White
don't worry.
SpongeBob, he's got some zoom skills.
This
We'll have
guy,
to use that as
get
the intro.
ready, because this is another cameo engineer.
Oh, there's another one!
I've
oh
got
my
2 more.
god.
I'm saving the worst for last, so get ready. It's pretty rough.
I'm about
but
to
this one's
freak
good.
out.
This is Eli Zhang, and he's a Cameo employee.
A Cameo employee,
And so
huh?
he's a very nice guy, very friendly looking.
Hey guys,
I'll give you
congrats
some
on
context
your
afterwards,
10th
but-
episode of your podcast, American Sushi. You guys are really funny, and it's always great to
he
listen
said
to
we're really
people
funny.
have such
I-
a good time.
Duh.
And as of now, you have 2
Oh, we got 2
5-star
5-star
reviews on the Apple Podcast store. So
That means
obviously
something,
you're
I
on
think
the
he
road to
said.
success.
Something like that.
And I know Evan requested that my happy face balloon be here to wish you good luck on your 10th episode. And since I didn't want to
Oh.
rob you of that $1 value, but that balloon has long since retired. I did my best artist's rendition. So yeah,
in his
good
Cameo
luck,
profile,
you guys.
he has a
Stay
balloon
spooky
with a smiley face
and
on it, and
peace
I
out.
asked for the balloon specifically to wish us good luck, and he apparently doesn't have it anymore, so he drew
Aw. What a great guy.
He was great, yeah.
That was very wholesome, but I will say it was a little hard for me to hear. But I think I got the gist of what he was talking about. Great guy. Thank you, Mr. Cameo employee, and your artist balloon depiction.
All right, I won't even tell you this guy's name. I'm just going to let you observe, and then I'll tell you his name at the end. You ready?
I'm crying in the club right now. I thought I was
There he is.
Thought this was over. Okay.
Hello, it's the god of cringe here.
What?
I just want to say that Brandon's intro is very long, as well as
Thanks.
dabbing and a bunch of just dab. I love your intro, Brandon. And also, Brandon, you need a haircut.
I am pissed.
Do you know what his
I
name
am
is? Did he say
pissed.
his name?
He might have, but I don't think I heard it in the beginning.
Can you
to be
guess
honest.
it? Can you guess it?
I'm gonna guess that his name is, stalker / convicted, convicted offender. I mean, what?
All right, so his name,
I'm
in
just
fact,
kidding.
is the god of cringe.
Oh, so I was close.
You were very close, so that's
Okay, cool.
that's him. And he was, I think, tied with the most expensive cameo. So
Wow.
it was
Well,
something. All right.
I'm really happy he dabbed at least like twice. So.
Yeah, I didn't think he was going to when he started bullying me about asking for it, and he just
Yeah.
read my request.
I think that was money well spent.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you could have done anything else with that money.
I need a raise.
Yeah, you're not getting paid.
Cool,
Neither am I.
that's right.
We're not getting paid.
Ever.
Okay.
Period. Point
Nope.
blank. So who's your
Nope.
favorite and who's your least favorite?
I mean, wholesome guy still my favorite.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think this guy right here is definitely a contender for least favorite. I won't lie about that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm trying to remember all of them.
Well, I mean,
In order.
the furry announcement was a pretty good one for
Oh,
you
the
liked that
furry announcement. How could I forget?
Shelter D Fox. That's the
Yeah.
official name for your fursona now.
That one's probably my second least favorite, but
Why?
this guy, I don't know, cringe lord over here knows what he's doing.
Gotta cringe.
Okay?
He
Gotta
he
cringe.
made us cringe, all right.
Yeah, I winced a little. I think people in the chat are,
They really liked it. Especially
they're
the
dead.
Oh fuck, this guy? What the fuck? No.
Killed by cringe.
I think that's a really good way.
Oh.
Anyways, there you go. That's the last of my cameos that I've requested for you. Until next
Thank
time,
you.
when I request more.
Guess we'll have to wait till I whip out the old debit card.
Oh, absolutely not.
I'll get my revenge someday. You won't see it coming one day. And
You're
say, hey,
right.
I got a little surprise for you.
I'll be like,
Turn your
"Fuck."
fucking volume on, and then this guy's gonna be like, and then you're just gonna be freaking out. Well, thanks, Evan. It was.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I wish I could say that it was really fantastic, but it was at least a little fantastic.
It was extraordinary, I'd say. Like, it was
Well,
outside the
that's-
ordinary.
That's pushing it, but okay.
Anyways, so today
Yeah.
I was on a competing podcast, Manga
Oh.
Club, hosted by former guest and former, well, still friend. Just kidding. I was going to say former friend, but that doesn't make a lot of sense. But
Our number
also
one competitor.
Friend. Number one competitor, the Manga Club. But so I was
Well, how
on
did
his
that go?
podcast today. It was pretty fun. I intended to do a video, but my phone did not have I don't have a webcam, so there's issue number one. So my intention was to use my Chromebook laptop and its webcam, but it wouldn't connect my USB microphone. So I'm like, all right,
Wow.
that's out. So then I tried to get my phone to work as a webcam on my desktop, so I could use my microphone and my phone as my webcam. And that worked, but it's super blurry. It was like 4p. Like, it was awful.
Oh, good.
It was really bad.
Oh, good. I can't wait to see it.
So it's just... And then, the other technical difficulty I had was, I tried to put our little sushi guy as my picture, so it wasn't just the normal, like, anonymous blue guy, so there's at least something there. That didn't work either, so it's just the blue guy. So that's cool.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, but it was...
Wow. So what did you guys talk about?
It was a lot of fun. We started by talking a lot about One Piece, even before we recorded. We talked about One Piece for like an hour, before we recorded anything. And
yes.
so we did that, and then when we started talking, he kind of picked my brain a lot about my English degree and how that influences my opinion on manga, on storytelling, and then we talked a lot about music, and we even talked about sports a little bit, which I was shocked about.
Oh ho ho.
But Lowly's the type of guy where he knows a little bit about everything. Like, he knows enough to talk about anything on planet Earth, basically.
That's true. I mean, I'm pretty sure when we had him on, we talked about Harry Potter for like at least a half hour. So
yeah,
we can change the subject all over the place.
We briefly touched on Harry Potter in there too, but the one thing that I really wanted to pick your brain about a little bit is Berserk. We talked about. I'm not going to spoil the debate we had on Berserk versus. It was kind of Berserk versus Hunter x Hunter, and which one you need to really. I'm trying not to put words in his mouth because it was very respectful debate. Neither one of us were trying to we both love both these series, so we weren't trying to downplay either one. But he was saying that Berserk you can sort of mindlessly watch sometimes, or mindlessly read and still get the story, whereas with Hunter x Hunter you need to read pretty in depth to understand what's going on. So I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that debate.
I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of in agreement with you, where I feel like it's very important to definitely read between the lines. You can't just take it at face value, because I feel like you're missing a lot of value in the story of Berserk specifically.
For Berserk.
Because there's so many interlying things and themes and all these other things that you don't just get at a face value. Because when you look at Berserk, right, you could just think, oh, this story is just big man sword, fight demon, big blood, boobs, you could just be like that, and there are people like that, are just yeah, this guy's, he's really cool. I like that he kills people. And he's, but I don't know, there's so much, I don't want to sound big words over here, but there's so much moral ambiguity. There's a story of, two dudes who are two sides of the same coin, right? Berserk and Griffith, they have so many similarities, but so many differences at the same time.
Besides Griffith? What's the other guy's name besides Griffith, did you say?
Wait, who did I just say?
You said Berserk and Griffith.
Oh, I meant Guts. I'm an idiot, sorry. I'm still, like I said, my brain is still entering my cognitive state. Hey, all right, so I'm talking about the armor. I just call it Berserk, okay?
Armor. You just call
Berserker
it Berserk.
Armor.
Cool.
Yes, my favorite character. Guts is Berserker Armor, boy. That's him. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like Berserk is definitely not one of those stories you should use for the opposite example he did. I wouldn't really agree with that.
Yeah.
A manga that we're going to talk about in a little bit, you could definitely take it much more at a face value,
absolutely.
Which is Gantz. We're going to get to that in a little bit.
Yeah.
But still, even so, there's still so many things in that story too that you could read under the lines and take it at a deeper value. But I feel like at least the way the beginning of that story is laid out, it's much more just straightforward in your face.
Yeah. Yes. For sure. And
yeah, I don't really agree with that.
Yeah, and I think with regards to Berserk, and again, this isn't a negative from Lowly, because he's not here to defend himself, so I guess I could say he said whatever, but he very much said that there's a lot of visual storytelling in Berserk, and that's kind of to its credit. He didn't mean that as a negative, but you can read the panels and tell a lot by Guts's positioning and by what his body language looks like and facial expressions and stuff. And so he's definitely giving a lot of kudos to the artist of Berserk.
I would say that's definitely true. Berserk is one of those stories where there's so much you can get just by viewing the expressions. Miura is definitely very, very good at being able to express how a character is feeling without any dialogue.
Yes.
But at the same time, though, it goes past just the visuals, even in those moments.
I agree.
You can't just say, oh, he feels sad right now. Why is he feeling sad?
And I think
it's so much more than that.
Yeah, and I think especially, this is, I'm just going to briefly touch on this, because I went into this on Manga Club, so you guys should check that out on Lowly's channel. But with regards to, the story of Berserk, I believe it's an allegory. That's my perspective on it, my analysis. Whereas, each person stands for a different element of human character. And so, if you look at Guts and Griffith, they're polar opposites. Black and white, masculine and feminine. There is so much to read into their relationship and how Guts changes over the story. Even over the first arc, Guts changes a bunch.
Yeah.
And so I think
same for Griffith too. At the end of the day.
Yeah, and so I think it shows a lot about their emotions and their morality, how it differs, and like foils each other, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like I didn't even think about this, but Guts has got a big sword. Like that's almost always a reference to a penis.
Well, we have seen Guts' penis, to be fair.
That's true. And it's almost as if though he is like overextending from his early violation. This isn't like a spoiler, this is one of the first few chapters, but like he overgoes his masculinity to like be that courageous, gutsy character with his big sword, his like edgy armor, whereas Griffith
very closed off.
Yeah, whereas Griffith is extremely effeminate. The pinnacle of femininity, at least with regards to a male character. I don't think there are many like other male identifying characters that are as effeminate as Griffith.
Yeah, he's very androgynous at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
I think that would be the best word for it.
Yeah. But I would almost argue that he's more feminine, like identifying than androgynous even.
Well, I mean, I would agree too. I mean, more just like how he appears. Yeah. It's very like, some people could definitely be like, oh man, that's a lady. Oh wait, no, it's not. Nope, that's a man.
Yeah, but I think Berserk has a lot to say, and I don't think Hunter x Hunter doesn't have much to say, because I think it sure does. And I think there's a lot of complexities with regards to Hunter x Hunter's power system specifically that you do need to like read to comprehend and like really look into, because otherwise, like, how the fuck does Gon's power make any sense compared to Hisoka's power, make sense compared to Kurapika's power, to Killua, like to all of their weird Nen powers? Like that makes no sense unless you really pay attention.
Yeah, you have to really listen to what they're explaining when they first like talk about how Nen works, or you just need to read into individual abilities. Because even just thinking like, okay, so this person is this type, what does that mean?
Yeah.
What can they do? And then it's like, okay, well, how are they applying that to their specific ability? Oh, it can do this. Well, why can it do that? Oh, because they have this restriction, yada, yada, yada. And then now it's like, even to this day, Togashi is going even further with it by introducing new concepts that we've never seen before. And it's like, people are like, oh, well, there's like a whole entire freaking, I don't want to read an actual book, I want to read a manga. But it's like, well, I mean, there's more at play here, and it's going to come into play later. Because I guarantee you, if he explains how it works now, he can just show us it in action later, and we'll already have that previous understanding.
And it definitely is more complicated because of the hiatuses going on, hiati, whatever.
Longest one, officially.
It is officially the longest one. I did see that, too, actually.
Big sad. Big sad.
So, like, I think that also, like, goes to Lohli's point of, like, you do need to really pay attention because there's so much time in between chapters. Like, not that there isn't for Berserk, but, like, you can still see Berserk and be like, big sword man, he fight bad guy. He fight nose boy who did nothing wrong.
Well, nose boy is a topic in its own. We could talk about him for a literal 3 days straight and still have more to say.
Absolutely. So anyways, that's really all I wanted to touch on with Manga Club. It was a lot of fun experience. It was great talking to Brian Lohli. Check his channel out. Check that video out if you haven't. He was on our podcast. Bada bing, bada boom.
Have a link below. Maybe.
We'll do what?
Hopefully. Have a link in the description below.
Whoa. Anyways.
Unless you're... Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Excuse me.
No, nothing.
Don't talk like
please,
that, please.
Please continue.
You're making me uncomfortable.
I'm all very uncomfortable. Please go ahead.
Awesome. Anyways, you want to look at Cameos again?
No.
Okay, let's talk about Gantz then.
Oh yeah, okay, Gantz time. So, not too long ago, Evan and I both read the hit manga Gantz. Mm-hmm. If you don't know what it is, brief description without spoilers. It's basically a manga about, people die, but they don't actually die. They get transported to this room, and there's this big black ball in the center. It's like, hey, we're gonna make you kill aliens, and everyone's like, excuse me, what's going on here?
There's no way that's real. And
yep.
Sure is.
And then shenanigans happen, and that's the manga. So now we're going to get into spoiler talk, so there are time codes in the description. If you're watching this live, sorry, you're going to have to deal with it. Okay.
Yes.
So, would you like to start?
I was just going to say how, I found Gantz. I looked at one of the manga websites. I was, just looking for something to fill my void after Slam Dunk and JoJo's, and I saw that this was pretty popular, so I'm like, all right, I'll read it. And then I did, and it's branded with so many different genre tags, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
And I was very, like, skeptical because it said horror as one of the genres. And it's like, there are definitely certain scenes, especially towards the beginning, that, like, unsettled my stomach. Like, the gore and stuff that it shows is very detailed.
Oh, yeah.
And that goes with his, like, 3D rendered art style. Like, it's very unique. And it's very in-depth.
I mean, for me, basically, I had read his sequel series to Gantz, which is called Inuyashiki. I mean, like, they're not related, but basically the series he made after it.
Yeah.
And that one's a very similar read, where, like, it's very quick. It has a lot of sci-fi elements, obviously, but they're not the same thing by any means.
Yeah.
So I've had Gantz on my radar for a long time. I even, like, started collecting it before actually reading it, just because I know it's something I want to get to and it's hard to find. So I had a couple volumes already, but after you said you were going to check it out, I'm like, you know what? I think it's time I read Gantz as well. Then we can talk about it, and that's what we're doing here today.
That's where we are.
But, yep. So, I guess, what would you say, like, just, we'll get into, like, a bunch of, like, different, smaller topics throughout it, but what would you say is your overall, like, takeaway / opinion of Gantz?
I would say it was above average. It was not the greatest thing on earth, but I do not feel like my time was wasted with it either. So, like, I would say it's, like, 6.5 out of 10, maybe 7 out of 10.
Okay.
The art's really good. I like some of the character arcs and the characters, but there's a lot of problems that I have with it, too.
Oh, for sure. For me, I would say I'd probably give it about a 7.5. Because I feel like there's a lot of really, really cool ideas presented in Gantz.
Yeah.
I just feel like there's some aspects where, like, it could have been done way better.
Absolutely.
But that said, there's still a lot of things that I really liked, and I really did overall enjoy the experience. Like, it was very hard to put down.
Yeah,
because
it absolutely
not only
was.
is it, like, not only is it a very fast read, but it's like, you know, it's like you said, it has a lot of genre tags, right? Like, there's so many horrific things. There's so many, like, sci-fi elements. There's so many interesting things about the characters. It's just a wild ride at the end of the day. Like, it's pretty insane. And it definitely hits its stride. Like, the beginning definitely, there's some parts that were a little slow for me, I will
feel
say.
like the beginning really grabbed my attention.
Like, it grabbed my attention, but the problem was I feel like they were spending too long just dicking around. So the best way I can describe it is, like, basically the main character, he gets hit by a train with his childhood friend that just happens to be there because they're trying to help a dude off the tracks. Well, the main character... All right, I guess that's one thing we should mention first.
Yeah, let's start with
the main character is awful at the beginning.
Sucks.
He's the worst. And he's like...
He is a rapist. He is a very negative person.
He's terrible.
Like,
he's terrible.
And, like, that's no joke. Like, he tries to, like, really assault a woman. Like, very very badly. Like, he is a terrible main character at the beginning. Like, we hate him and root for, like, any other character, basically.
Yeah, I cannot believe they turned it around so that I would actually be, like, rooting for him. I'm amazed that they were able to do that for me. I think
some of that wasn't necessarily earned development either, though.
I think some is, some isn't at the end of the day. Like, it's definitely, I don't know, I think it's more just, like, the way he evolved as a character. It's like, okay, I can get kind of on board with this guy now. Like, I can see what he's trying to do. I can see, you know, I want him to have happiness at the end, I could say.
Yeah.
But he's so detestable in the beginning. Like, his best friend is, like, my guy. And then it's like, get this kid away from me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
But the biggest problem I had with the beginning is, so, like, they get transported and everyone's like, what the fuck is going on, right? Nobody knows what's happening. And they fight the first alien. And I feel like it just spent so many chapters of them just, like, walking around, just like, well, are we on a live TV show? What's going on? And then, like, once they actually met the alien and things progressed from there, that's when I felt like it started to pick up a little bit. It was just like that first little bit of when they first get transported to when they meet the alien. I feel like there was a couple chapters in there. I'm like, all right, well, like, what's the point here? What's going on?
Yeah, but
I feel like it could have been a little faster.
I think it kind of sets it up pretty well, though, for, like, the shock of the alien and, like, what happens with regards to that first alien of, like, them killing it, and then Big Boy comes in and is like, I'm gonna kill a bunch of you guys.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's another thing, too. It's just how they kind of, like, prank you throughout the whole thing. It's always like, okay, well, you're going to go here and kill this alien.
Yes.
It's like, oh, yeah, there's 50 of them,
and
by the way.
And it looks nothing like we're showing you, actually.
Yep. But that, I don't know, the whole entire concept of just like, hey, you're going to die, but you're not actually going to die. You're going to get transported here, and you're going to fight aliens. I don't know. It's a really, like, interesting concept.
Absolutely.
That was my main, like, takeaway from is, like, this is a really cool idea at the end of the day.
Yes, and throughout it, you're always, like, it keeps you wondering and wanting to know, like, what is going to happen next? Like, why is everything happening the way it is? Mm-hmm. Like, we all want to find out the answer to that mystery, I think.
Yeah. And I like how they, like, you know, a lot of times I like it when they kind of leave you in the dark for a lot of these things.
Yeah.
But I do think that it was beneficial for them to give us some answers, but they still left so many things up to question at the end of the day, which is what I'm happy with. Mm-hmm. So, like, I'm sure we'll talk about the ending in a little bit here.
So, okay. So let's go through the story now. I think that's a fair jumping off point. Let's go through the story. Bet. So, like, the beginning is kind of centered around the game of Gantz, or how Gantz is like a game, where you earn points per, like, alien kill, essentially. Mm-hmm. And I kind of liked that, and I liked the way that arc went up to, like, Corono's death. Yeah.
There was, a couple things in there that, like, I liked a lot, and some things that I was like, okay, what's going, like, why would you do that? So, basically, in terms of, like, that aspect of it, I think it's really cool that, like, we find out later that, basically, these Gantz, like, the technology that they're using was sent from, like, a higher intelligence far off into the universe.
Like, yeah.
Basically, because they were basically trying to warn us. Yeah, basically like an omnipotent being.
Yeah, and
it was like, hey, you guys are gonna get invaded.
Ideas with that, like I've got lots
me
to talk
too.
about there.
I do too. The ending specifically is something I want to touch
we're gonna
upon,
sure talk ending.
So basically, they find out that Earth is going to be invaded, and they're like, all right, well, let's just give these guys the technology to defend themselves for no apparent reason. Like, they're literally like, we have no reason to do this. We're just going to. So they do, and apparently, like, one thing that the humans who developed it in particular, they're like, hey, you know what? Let's make it more like a game, just to be douchebags.
Yes,
like, they did that all by themselves. And I find that very, like...
I really like how they the omnipotent beings, they don't send it in, like, a letter or anything. They make this girl fucking worthless and babble and give them ideas on how to build this that make no sense to anyone else.
They basically take, like, a vegetable person, and they're just like, hey, we're just going to have her mumble code
things,
for...
and you guys better figure it out. If not,
alien technology. But I thought I don't know, there's some things that I really liked about the point idea. Like, I thought it was obviously interesting that they made it like a game for one.
I think the point idea is really interesting.
I think what kind of is weird about it is like the whole like, oh yeah, you can bring someone back to life. So I feel like they use that a little too much to their, like, it's very
absolutely.
Well, I don't know, it goes back to the ending though. It's like it's so weird how you know, they're just basically like, you know, humans are just flesh sacks at the end of the day. You can just recreate the same person over and over. It's like, that's a very interesting philosophy for one. But I thought some aspects were like, okay, you'll get a bigger gun, right? Like, you'll do better. It's kind of like, you know, don't you think they should be like equipping these people with the better guns to begin with? If they're like fighting all these like super powerful things, and you actually want these people to succeed because, you know, they're stopping an invasion.
Yeah, but I think
you want to give them the best stuff.
I think there's a weeding out process too, where they want people who are like capable, like fighters, to be able to have access to those weapons and stuff, more than like Johnny Sue, who fucking sucks poop and just dies right away.
I mean, that's very true. But at the end of the day, you also have to think like the people who like get these super high powered weapons and like the weird extra big bodysuit and shit. It's like, you know, they die, and then the other people just take the weapons anyways. So it's like, it doesn't even matter that they got them. Yeah.
The like, fucking Frankie superpowered suits.
Yeah. It like literally time skip Frankie One Piece guy over here.
Yep.
It looking ass, but they die, and everyone's just like, oh, well, this guy's got this big ass like fucking crater gun, and then they're just like, yeah, we're just gonna take that now. Yeah. And it's like they just get to keep it. You think it'd be like, well, you didn't earn that, so you can't have it. It's like, well,
like, tough. They died. You get it. See ya.
Yeah. I don't know. That was just something a little weird for me.
Yeah, I think that's for sure interesting.
But I did like that they took out the main character for a little while.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite parts, was when they started like showing other people's perspectives during that. I think that was super well done.
And then they eventually bring him back, but I thought it was just really cool that it's like you know, they're just gonna wreck him, and then like they have to get these points back to get him back. I don't know. I thought it was a really cool idea.
Yeah, and it was a good moment for his buddy, who I don't remember the name of off the top of my head.
I think it's Kato, right?
Kato, yeah, it is Kato. Kato. That he was so determined, and like that's like kind of the peak of Kurono's arc, I think, is when he sacrificed himself to bring back Kato, and then Kato does the same for him. Like, their broship definitely like saves a lot of the manga for me.
Yeah. I forget what battle it was in where K really became like interesting to me. I don't remember if it was one with like the Buddha statues, but I feel like that was the one where he didn't have his armor, right? So it would have been the one after that. But I don't remember who they fought after that. But basically, like, once he starts, like, taking things seriously is when I'm like, okay, I'm starting to get on board with this guy. And then he dies.
Yeah.
And then the arc after that was, like, super crazy.
I thought,
where Kato's, like, the MC, basically, for a little bit.
I liked that. Then, I think the characters introduced when Kuruno is dead, I think are my favorite characters.
Like the God Squad?
Like,
or like
like
the
Muscle
douchebag
Rider,
other people.
Muscle
Rider's best boy.
Muscle Rider is so good.
Oh,
he is incredible.
He's my favorite.
Absolutely. I do have a soft spot for Cherry, though. I think he had the best arc, like, overall.
Which one was Cherry again?
The psychic, like the trainee psychic guy.
Who's I couldn't remember their names. Bullies. Yeah.
This is in my notes. That's how I remember his name. But he tried to kill his bullies, and then he gets, like, stopped by the girl that he loves. Mm-hmm. And then she's gone, and he's, like, out for blood against everything. And it seems very mirroring of Kurono. Like, a little bit like his arc, too.
That entire, like, squad of people, like, once they all get together, is my favorite part of the manga. They are all so great. Mm-hmm. Like, you just get worthless person after worthless person. It's finally like, oh, these people...
These guys are all awesome.
The goats. Yes. Like, honestly, like, there's one controversial part of the manga I want to talk about that, like, leads to this, but we'll just say the part where the psychics are just, like, walking up to the dude with the gun, just catching bullets. I'm like, bro, this is hype as shit. Like, I don't understand how, you know... Like, obviously, like I said, like we said, there's so many different, like, genres in this. Yeah. And I think the fact that they also incorporated so many different sci-fi elements, like, you know, psychics and whatnot, for instance, I think the one issue I have with them is that the entire, like, concept of, like, just becoming a psychic was really weird to me. It's like, you just walk up and the guy's like, hey, you're a psychic now. And it's like, oh, okay, I'll practice.
Yeah, just start fucking around with this lighter, please.
It's like, you know, don't you think, you know, if everyone's, like, fighting aliens... And these psychic guys can just, like, you know, just splatter them all over the place with their minds.
Like, they can stop your brain.
Why wouldn't in the room you just walk and be like, hey, guys, we're going to be fighting some weird shit. Let's just make everybody a psychic.
Let's all be psychics, please. Here's some lighters. Like, figure it out, guys.
I mean, maybe it's not as easy as they make it look, but goddamn do they make it look easy. And like to become a psychic, I should say.
Yeah, and alongside that, I think this is what you were touching on, is the vampire plot.
I fucking hate the vampire
plot. Sucked poop. It was so...
That's not what I was going to get to. I was actually talking about... I did mention that. I did write vampires down.
No, yeah. We need to talk the vampires.
Vampires are just such a dead end. Like, it had potential, and it just went nowhere.
And it was so fascinating that Kurono's brother... Like, Kurono has a lot of family issues. And Kurono's brother that they hate, like, they hate each other, is a vampire. And the vampires were going after the Gantz people.
But, like, don't they just, like, kill off his brother out of nowhere?
They just kill him. They just kill him. He tells them, hey, they're coming for you guys, and then they kill brother, and Kurono's like, all right, guess we gotta do this.
And then, like, the vampires eventually get caught up in the Gantz game, and then they're just gone after that.
Yeah, and Kurono doesn't even do anything to the vampires. It's fucking Izumi, the serial killer guy.
They show up one time at the very end when Kei is fighting, like, the big alien guy.
Yeah, kinda. They're, like
they're just in the crowd.
Like, they're not doing much at all.
It was such a worthless plot because it's kind of like, oh wait, these vampire people they can see the Gantz people because when you are transported by Gantz, nobody can see you.
Nobody
basically.
Yep.
It's very interesting in that way. Like, you can affect your surroundings, you can affect other people, but they can't see you. They can only feel that you're there, more or less. So these vampire people are like, hey, we fucking see you guys. So, you know, as the Gantz fighters, you could say, or whatever you want to call them, they get used to people not being able to see them. So all of a sudden, people can see them and they target them. Like, that's like a pretty big...
That's super interesting, and that could go so well, and then it just doesn't.
And it went nowhere. It's like, okay, so I guess I guess you could quote-unquote call them aliens, maybe. I don't really know if that applies to them.
They don't explain their powers, really.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, so there's aliens that know about Gantz, and they hate Gantz, and, like, the people involved with it. That's pretty interesting, but it just goes nowhere. It's such a worthless plot point. Like, I would just say that's, like, the biggest wasted potential part. It should have just been left out at that point if they're not going to do anything with it.
Absolutely agree. And, like, they have that big fight with Izumi against the vampires, and instead of it being, like, a struggle or anything, he just kills them all and then dies. That's it. Like, it's pretty cool. It's pretty badass looking, but, like, with regards to plot relevance, it's kind of pointless. And then the other two that join Gantz, they get caught up in it, they survive, they fight someone, and then they're like, I guess they're okay, and just leave.
Yep.
So
I don't know. The one benefit of the vampires is the joke they made about the girl vampire who looks like the girl from Kill Bill. I thought that was funny.
That's their
when
positive.
Gantz like gives people well, like when
Gantz's nicknames for everyone are pretty funny.
Called her Kill Bill. I'm like, I just laughed because I love that movie and it made sense to me because it looked like the girl.
And Gantz would call the girl from the very beginning, just call her tits every time.
Yeah. That, like, I guess that transitions into another issue. The female characters in this manga are kind of something.
They're
because
butt.
A lot of them are
part.
worthless.
Especially Tay, the worst girl.
I don't mind Tay / Taya. I don't know which one it is, but I love Tay.
I hate her.
She's my favorite.
The worst girl.
I mean, there's no reason she should have survived what she did.
Yeah.
I will say that much. She had definitely big plot armor moment here, okay? But I don't hate what she did as a character. I feel like she was, as much as it is to say, oh, well, this girl is just going to be the character motivation at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel the whole thing about, oh, you have to kill Tay. Like, that is the alien. I feel like that was an interesting plot point for sure. And I feel like giving our douchebag main character a reason to, like, be a better person at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I feel like in that aspect, she serves her purpose. I feel like the only other female character that's, like, worth mentioning is Reika or Rika. I don't know how to say it.
Reika is the best girl.
I would say she's second best, in my opinion.
She is way better than Tay.
I'm a Tay sympathizer.
I think she is way more interesting. Like, the fact that she, like, I think her, like, interactions with Kurono are way more interesting than Tay's. Because, like, so he chose Tay. Like, Kurono chooses Tay over Reika, basically. And Reika, instead of being like, I accept that, and that's okay, she gets clone Kurono. And then
she's just like, hey, can you bring it back to life, please? I want my own.
That is so cool to me. And then he gets pissed at her when he's a clone. He's like, what the fuck are you doing? Get me out of here. Yeah.
I think that was a super interesting point for sure. I think that's what made her an interesting character.
And that's not because of Tay.
Well, you're right. I mean, it is and it isn't, because he loves
Reika's the one who does it, though.
Well, yeah, but he loves Tay, so she knows, like, I'm not going to be able to have this guy. But they obviously still have some sort of, like, feelings for each other, whether it just be, like a lingering feeling or, like, an actual passionate thing, or whatever you want to call it. I mean, she definitely does, but he's on the fence, more or less. So it kind of also makes sense in a way, because it's like, you think, if there's two of me, well, I can make two different people happy, right? So she kind of thinks in the same light.
Yeah.
If I clone him, then, he can still have Tay, but he'll also have me. Like, I get that motivation completely.
Yeah, I think that's super fascinating. And then when he comes out and he's like, still want Tay, leave me alone, Reika.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too, because it's like, well, what did you expect at the end of the day?
Yeah, that's super unique.
It could have went both ways, for sure. And
like, with regards to that, I think that's, like, one of Gantz's, like, best qualities is how unique it is.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like I said, it has so many different interesting concepts that are just, like, some of them were executed very well, others not so much. And
like, the other thing is, this is kind of going to transition us into the ending, but, like, when they go to the alien planet, the alien girl that saves them, like, I like her character a lot. I think she's pretty interesting.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be the only other good female character that there is.
Yeah, because otherwise we have Tits, we have Kishimoto, the other K.
Yep.
She's worthless.
Yeah.
And then we have Tomb Raider.
There's also the one girl. Is that the one that likes Kaito?
That was Kishimoto. She was the one in the beginning.
No. Towards the end, the one that also has a child. She's kind of interesting.
Yeah. And that entire plot was very wacky. I liked it. But she was all right. I think they could have done more with her, but I guess she was one of the better female characters too. I mean, that's not saying much.
No,
but
it's sure not. But like, and the concept of having multiple Gantz groups is really cool. And like the competition they have, like that was the Kurono like revival arc.
Man, dude, like
that is real. That is the peak.
That was
of it to
wacky.
Me. That was the best part to me.
That was bonkers. There's just so much to say because it's so like depraved. Like that other squad, it's just like they're just all about like, yeah, dude, let's just murder everything. They just do like pork and aliens.
Oh my god, yeah, like, dude.
That guy, it was nuts.
And the alien designs are all super interesting and unique, I think.
Oh yeah. Because, like, some of them are literally just, like, things that we see in everyday life, like a statue.
Or the puppet guy.
Yeah.
The birds that fly out of him, that was cool.
Yeah. There's so many, they all have very unique designs. It's very, both believable and not unbelievable at the same time.
Yeah.
I would say when shit is getting crazy with the other Gantz team, that is probably like
Oh,
peak.
those are insane looking. Yeah, dude.
But I guess moving on to... Well, I guess there's one more character I want to mention real quick because I have it written down. So I don't know how to say his name, but it's Nishishi or whatever. The dude who basically was like the middle schooler on the main squad who knew shit.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what did you think about him? 'Cause I personally was like... I didn't like him at all the whole time, but he did serve like his purpose to the plot the entire time, more or less.
No, I like his character. Like, he's very unlikable. But like the fact that he knows so much about it and then like gets kind of blindsided, and the fact that they bring him back as like their secret weapon, and he kind of, I don't know, he doesn't really do much as a secret weapon, but like, I don't know, like you said, yeah, he's not that great, but he's interesting for the purpose of the story and like progressing the story along.
And then what did you think about the long-haired dude who literally goes full on blackface and
he absolutely uses
lights
blackface.
up, basically starts a public shooting just to get Gantz some new people.
Yes.
Like that was like messed.
He is a cool foil to Kurano, I think.
I was just surprised they went that far.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Absolutely. And and it's like the grandma and the kid, like they're the ones that go in there from that. Or like the
I guess that's how the whole God Squad starts.
And then he kills Muscle Rider, doesn't he?
Yeah, he kills Muscle Rider. One thing about Muscle Rider, actually.
Yeah.
So I have this written down too. So do you remember how like in the beginning, Muscle Rider is just like all about fighting the strongest people? Like that's all he's about, right?
Yeah.
And then he eventually fights K.
Yes.
And like K obviously has a suit on, so he can't really do anything.
Fucking wrecks him.
Yeah. And then so obviously they've interacted at this point. And he thinks like, man, this guy's really strong. What's going on here? Then he gets killed, and they like don't really recognize each other. Like I was kind of like,
yeah, they don't interact too much once they're like both in Gantz.
Yeah, like you'd think he'd be like, hey, you're that fucking strong dude.
Let me follow you.
Or like something along those lines. But he doesn't. I mean, obviously he has his own arc, which is the best. But
Very good,
the fact that they don't recognize each other, or like they don't acknowledge it if they do, is kind of disappointing. But that's all I have to say if we want to go to ending time. I don't know if you got anything else.
Absolutely, because we've got a ton to say about the endings. Let's do that.
So first off, I think the ending was... So the whole entire final arc up to the ending, right?
Yes.
I feel like there were moments in it that were very rushed that I was like, I don't know about that.
Super rushed.
But the actual like start of the invasion up to when it gets to that middle part where they're kind of like dicking around in the ship.
Like where they go
all
up
of that is great, in my opinion. Just the idea of like global domination on that scale. I don't know. I felt like it was illustrated very well to show like the horrors of it.
It was, but I don't know about great. I think it was handled okay. I think that was also pretty rushed, in my opinion. Of them,
it definitely was.
And it's meant to be like a sudden horror. Like it's not meant to be like built up that they're like coming and they're gonna take over in a week. Like they're gonna take over now. They're not gonna come here in a week, right?
Yeah.
But I just think, and the designs were really cool, like the spaceships and stuff. But like, I think that if they would have given us more time with the aliens, like, because the point is, I believe, in my opinion, is to like mirror the humans, and it's like which one is the true horror? Because the humans go up into the spaceship and kill people like that are just living their lives, and that's kind of like what they talk about the Gantz targets, like the aliens, like they're just living their lives, and the humans, the Gantz people, kill them. I just think if they would have given us more time with the aliens to like illustrate how human they were, that point, that theme would have resonated so much stronger than it does.
I think they definitely gave us like a good enough amount like of what they were trying to say there. I think it definitely comes back to like the entire philosophical question of so like think of it like this, right?
Yeah.
So when we go and step on an ant because it's in our house, we don't really think of like, oh, we're hurting this. This thing has its own life, its own feelings, yada yada yada, but we're killing it. We don't see it as anything except a nuisance, right?
Yes.
So to them, they're an advanced civilization that sees us as the ants. So it's like, why would they care about what we think or what we're doing? Like they don't. So it's kind of mirroring how that's how we view ourselves.
Yes.
Like we're the center of our own universe.
Yes.
We're the top of the food chain, and they're the same way.
Yes.
So it definitely shows us the parallels of how like we're just as horrific as them, if not more. Like we're one and the same, kind of like they were, like you were saying.
Sure.
They could have definitely used from showing more of that, but I think with like how horrific they made it seem, it was still like very effective. Like the fact that like just think of how like meat packing plants.
Yeah.
Like, it's like the exact same thing that we would do to animals
like pigs.
that they're doing to
us.
us.
They did to humans, yes.
Yeah, like we're literally just taking the place of the cow.
Yes.
And it's like, just think of it as how the cows view us. Like that we are those aliens to the cows. That's just how it is.
Yes.
So I like that aspect a lot. It definitely shows like the horror of ourselves in a way. Like the reflection of like what we are as a species is literally what we fear the most.
Yeah, but the point
something bigger than
where
us.
you're saying it's good enough, I see that it could have been better, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I agree. It definitely could be. I'm not saying I would say I was pleased with the amount they went with, but it could have been more. It definitely could have been more.
Yes, and I think especially like what I want to say is that like when they go and see the gods that like tell them to make Gantz,
oh yeah, that's
when it should have ended in my opinion. When Kuno leaps to fight them and he just evaporates. That's where I think it should have ended. After everything after that, I think was too rushed and like not core to the Gantz like themes and philosophies.
So basically, in the final arc, the part I didn't like the most was when they're inside like the alien spaceship, more or less. And they're fighting like all these weird like monsters under a bridge. Yeah. And like everyone is just like cheering them on and shit. I was like, okay. They could have just disregarded that completely and focused more on everything else, and it would have been so much better. Because it wouldn't have felt as rushed if that time had been used with everything that's already going on, instead of just like, oh, we need to show more alien monsters. Let's do that. It's like, okay, well, that's not really the point of the invasion, in my opinion. I feel like that was a waste.
Yeah, but I think with regards to the god, like the point I'm trying to make, like it really emphasizes how you said like there are these alien beings see us as the ants, right? Whereas these gods see us as, like, even less than ants.
Yeah,
like
we're like dust.
We're sand, yeah. And so I think that if that happens, and it's like, clear that there's another Kurano. Like, that's not the only Kurano. So, like, if he dies and everyone's like, shit, and they end it, like, there, or they end it after, like, I don't know, they show the other Kurano, like, smiling with Tay or something, like that. Like, I think there's still that element of horror, of mystery at the end that is eliminated by the way they did end it.
Yeah, I definitely didn't mind like that final battle, more or less.
Oh,
like
I didn't like the final battle at all.
I didn't hate it. It's like, I don't know. I just felt like it's like, okay, it's concluding in a, our two main characters survive.
Yeah,
it's all right.
I think it was too anticlimactic because that like leader, he's the one that motivates the whole invasion. Like he's the one who's pissed off at Kurano for killing his brother. Yeah. Like he's fucking furious, and they talk about him a lot, and he just fights the other Gantz people, kills them, they come, he dies. Like, it's just very quick.
Yeah. It's very, like, predictable, is the best way I would describe it. Like, you expect, like, oh, he's gonna beat the bad guy, everything's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
and it was.
The ending was okay. I don't think it was like, a bad ending. It sure could have been worse.
Compared to some endings I've witnessed, I did not mind it at all.
No,
I
it sure could have been worse.
Purpose.
But I think there's a lot of potential it missed. Like, it could have been a lot better.
Oh, yeah. But going with the gods specifically, I think one thing about that I wanted to highlight is the fact that the author, I think he just like really just wanted to piss people off, which I really liked in its own way, because he's kind of just like, they meet these omnipotent beings that are not necessarily a god. There's something completely different, but they kind of fill a purpose as a god in the same way. Like they have like god level powers or intellect even, but they're not a god. And like they're like, okay, you can ask us any question you want. And they're like, okay, well, is there a god? And they're like, nope. He basically just wanted to piss people off, saying, oh yeah, you guys, you're just flesh bags. You're nothing. You mean nothing. You are nothing.
It's like, it's specifically nihilist. Like it's
there
is no
completely.
Purpose.
I just think it was very interesting for him to basically just, ruin everybody's beliefs. I thought that was great, because it's just, everyone wants to believe in something so that they can sleep at night, more or less. They want to be like, oh, well, everyone fears death. Let's make it so that, there's something after death. There's something that a place we can go and we can live a second life that's even better than this one. Like, obviously, anyone would want to believe that's a real thing, but this being is basically like, no, you guys are dumb. That's not real. That's not real. But then at the same time, though, he's also kind of like, oh, well, reincarnation, that's a thing, though. You can look forward to that.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really interesting that he's basically just like shutting everything down, but then he gives them this little glimmer of hope. He's basically, all that God and religion stuff, that's whack. But reincarnation, though, I mean,
okay.
That's something to look forward to. I just thought that was a really interesting way to do it.
Yeah, no, I think those characters, those omnipotent beings, were super interesting, and I think that could have been a really cool ending if he wrote it. I mean, it would have to be written a little bit adjusted, but like to kill the one Kurno off and like end it without that like sense of hope that there is in the ending, like would be really interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. I guess we'll have to eventually check out Gantz G and E and see how those spin-offs apply to this story, or if they apply at all, or if it's just a different place with Gantz.
Yeah, to kind of really close it off, like a lot of people I saw in the comments and like on the reviews, like really complained that it felt too shonen-y at the end, and I don't think that was. See that. I don't think that was necessarily even a bad thing though.
No, it's not. Like I said, I thought the ending would serve its purpose, and I did not hate it. I can say I've seen better for sure, and it could be better, but I'm okay with it. Yeah, no, I think it was okay too. That's sort of where I'm at. Like it was okay. It wasn't bad by any means, but it wasn't great. Like it doesn't bring down the series as much as it could if it was a really bad ending. Yeah. That's sort of where I'm at with it. And like the shonen part, like I don't think that was super negative because it doesn't detract from the message, like you said, of the omnipotence and of the insignificance of humans. Yeah. I don't know. I just thought it was like a very interesting story. Like I would definitely say like with all of its issues, I would say I'm very happy that I read it. I enjoyed it a lot. I just wish there were some things that were, you know, either excluded or developed more or changed or yada, yada, yada. Yeah. A lot of really cool ideas, a lot of really great things to take away from it, but it could have been better. I think when you read Dead Man Wonderland, you're going to really, like, have an appreciation for that manga, because that's one of my favorites now. Like, that's earned its spot really high up on my manga list. Ooh, I will get to it. I think I do have, like, one or two of the volumes of it, so I do plan on reading it. They have it has a similar, like, kind of similar message, too, as Gantz does, and I really liked it. Frick yeah. Well, I'm excited for that one then. Well, I'm sure we'll talk about that when I do read it. I hope so, because I like it a lot. All right, so moving along here, let's talk a little bit about like what YouTubers we watch. I think that's kind of an interesting thing we haven't touched upon on the podcast very much. Who are you watching in your feed right now? I watch a lot of different YouTubers, right? Yes. I watch a lot. So some I watch, like, you know, they could be considered the daily uploaders. Some I watch once, like, a month when they upload. Some I watch, like, a couple times a year. It really depends. So as far as some channels that I would watch, like, somewhat daily, you could say. Yes. So there's really only two that upload, like, very frequently that I could say that I watch. So I usually watch good old Philly D. For just like, you know, what's going on in the world, and then Good Mythical Morning, because I feel like they do a lot of just fun topics that a lot of which involve food, and it's just super interesting. I'm sure anyone's familiar with them, even if you don't watch them. Yeah. I've never watched a second of their channel, but I know who they are. Oh, I love it personally. It's like my guilty morning pleasure. But as far as like YouTubers that I frequent, I'm just gonna kind of scroll through my list and just list them off here. Go ahead. So believe it or not, as an anime YouTuber, I actually don't watch a whole lot of anime content. Yeah. I don't know why that is necessarily. I think it's more just like I don't want to be too influenced from my peers. I want to try to do my own thing. But at the same time, it's not like I just don't watch people, period. It's just I don't watch people very frequently. So I'm not going to name too many of those off. Yeah. I guess one that I kind of watch here and there that I think you are actually probably familiar with him, but I've only found him semi-recently. So his name is Bennett the Sage, and I think he's from Channel Awesome back in the day. Who? If you know who he is. No, I don't. He covers, like, just, like, really obscure old anime a lot of times, or just, like, you know, anime that a lot of people don't talk about. Okay. And I feel like that's interesting to me because it spreads my knowledge to things I never would have even known existed. And, you know, there's a lot of things about it that I'm like, I don't know, because he does, like, skits with characters sometimes. I'm like, I don't know about that. But I like him a lot. I also watch a lot of film YouTubers in my free time, such as Chris Stuckman, Your Movie Sucks, I Hate Everything, Ralph the Movie Maker. I listen to their podcast, Sardonicast, whenever that comes out, bi-weekly. Sometimes I'll watch some, like, scarier channels where they talk about just weird shit in the world, more or less. Not necessarily like, oh, these are ghosts, but more like, you know, real horrors, like with people and stuff, junk like that. Like, I think, what are their names? Rainbot, there's Nexpo. There's this one channel that I really, really, really like called Let Me Know. So I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he just kind of like, he does these really well edited, like documentary things on like weird topics in the
Cool,
world.
okay.
And it's super cool. He doesn't upload very much, but when he does, it's a banger.
Yeah. I think that's kind of interesting because I feel like that's where like my YouTube tastes have gone more recently, is the people who don't upload as frequently, but when they do upload, you know it's going to be something really entertaining.
Oh, like Frederick Knudsen. It's kind of like him,
Oh,
but
yeah.
a little more well edited, I would say.
Okay.
That's basically the best way I could describe it.
Yeah.
But down the rabbit hole, man,
Those are
that's
interesting,
good
yeah.
stuff. It's good stuff. For comedy, I do watch some YouTubers as well. I would say mainly these days something like Gus Johnson.
Yes.
The occasional Eddie Burback.
I watch
every
both of
so
those.
like I'll usually watch iDubbbz videos when he uploads.
Yeah.
Regardless of what it is. I don't necessarily always like be like, oh man, that was great. But
Yeah.
lately though, he's been making some bangers for sure.
The Dax Flame documentary was super funny. I like that video a lot. That was so funny.
Yeah, he knocked that out of the park.
The smoothie game show. Like,
Yeah.
what in the world? I would watch so many of those, but they have to
Yeah.
be the entire process of finding people and, like, unedited. Like, I don't want it to be edited. I want him to be there being awkward and asking if that's okay, and, like, that's what I want to watch. I would watch so many of those.
Another film channel, In Praise of Shadows, they do kind of like video essay type things on stuff. I actually just subscribed to a channel like a couple days ago called JCS Criminal Psychology.
Oh,
And
really?
it's more or less, I don't know if you've heard of them.
No,
but
I haven't, but that's an interesting title. Or name.
basically all their videos are kind of like going over like very popular like cases throughout the US, but they focus mainly on like the interrogation footage and like court footage of like, and break down kind of like what's been going on with it, what happened, that kind of stuff. Super interesting.
Yeah.
There's one YouTuber. Okay, so I guess for anime stuff, right?
Okay.
There's two YouTubers that I hold at like the pinnacle of content, which is KYDB and Mudan TV. I feel like they both are super underrated. Barely anybody knows about them, and they make the most banging content I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In anime community. I feel like they're the peak myself. I also watch a lot of RuneScape YouTubers, such as Virtuoso and Tanzu are my personal favorites. Otherwise, some like C Engineer.
Settled.
Yep. Oh, Settled. How could I forget about Settled, dude? Also, Nerd City. He's not RuneScape, but he's another good one.
Oh, yeah, I love Nerd City. He's one that doesn't do
very many uploads.
very many videos, but they're super good when they're uploaded.
I do watch a lot of PewDiePie. He's another like daily, I could say.
You do.
I don't know why I didn't think about that.
I
think that's mainly who I would want to talk about.
Don't you watch Cosmonaut Variety Hour too?
Oh yes, I do.
Or you at least follow and like his tweets. I noticed that because I follow him too.
I can't
like
say I watch like all his videos, but he just did one on Warhammer.
Yeah, I didn't watch
really
that
liked.
yet, but was it interesting?
It made me want to get Warhammer, but it's like I know that I'm, one, it'll probably be like us with D&D where we
don't say
get
that.
the stuff and just play it one time, and it's like I don't want to spend money if I not guaranteed to play it. But he does a lot of good stuff on film too.
Yeah.
For music,
He does.
The Needle Drop mostly. There's this other channel, I forget his name, but he did some stuff on like a lot of the music we like.
Oh, interesting.
I think I already scrolled past him, but also, I just scrolled past it. Oh, Scott the Woz for Videogames.
Okay.
He's super good.
I've heard of him.
I think that's mostly. I watch Wang. I don't know if you watch Wang. I feel like you probably do, but
Justin Wang, that guy?
yeah, Justin Wang.
Okay, I've not
Wang.
watched him, but I've seen him on Twitter and stuff.
Yeah, he does some. Like, I think his videos definitely could have some room for improvement.
Yeah.
But he talks on a lot of wacky topics as well. I would say that's all I'd probably want to mention. So if you want to take over with a lot of yours now.
I know one that we also watch is Jay Aubrey. We watched his Bobby Burns video recently, and that was interesting. But that wasn't super informative to either of us because we're fucking psychotic and know all this stuff already.
About it.
Yep.
Well, it was like
weird.
the big thing for a while. Like,
yeah, it was. Because I watched Bobby Burns when he was a film guy, and when he
I think that's the most compelling thing about him is the fact that it's like we used to like him,
yeah.
And it's like what happened, and it's so interesting to see like how that all transpired. But it's like,
and I think there's probably not going to be much more to that story, but we just don't want to accept it because there's not a great reasoning behind it either.
When he was a film reviewer and when he was a commentator, he was on fire.
Yep,
he was making really good stuff, and then it's like, fuck, man.
And it's like it's okay to move out of what you want to create, like what you want to make videos on.
For sure.
But like, don't be upset when your audience doesn't follow you along for that journey. either.
I just kind of see it more as hypocritical.
A little bit,
like,
yeah.
He was basically he transitioned to the very thing that he set out to destroy.
Yeah.
You know? He turned to the dark side of what he was, everything he was against, he became. And it's like, that's so weird. And everyone could see exactly what was happening is the thing. No one was like, oh, I don't know. I feel like he's just doing what he wants. But it's more like you literally flipped a switch and it's like you became a completely different person. So I don't know if the person before was the fake or what, but
yeah,
I don't know. It's super weird. It's super weird.
Yeah, so I watch a lot of stuff that, like, the commentary channels. I watch, Noble Lucy. He's one of my favorite. I watch every video he comes out with. I just found Super Eye Patch Wolf, which I feel like is pretty weird that I just found him, but I really like his videos a lot. I think they're very interesting.
He does a good job for sure. I've watched a lot of his stuff too.
Absolutely.
Especially for anime content. I feel like he's one of the peaks as well.
Yes. He really reinfluenced my opinion on Cowboy Bebop in his video on that. I thought that was super interesting. Because he talks about how the characters don't really change throughout it, and that's not a bad thing. And
I don't know if I actually saw that one.
It's really interesting. Like, if you do a rewatch of Cowboy Bebop, you should watch that video afterwards. It's pretty interesting.
Okay.
And then I watch Almighty Tevin. He's one of my favorite. Like, I watch, he streams more than makes videos, but I watch everything that he does. He started out as a person who commented on, Dark Side Phil stuff and drama. But he does
all about the Dark Side Phil.
Oh, I know everything about Dark Side Phil, basically. But, he also plays video games and streams and stuff, and he's pretty... I find a lot of weird people from him. For, games, I watch a lot of, long-form, game retrospectives and stuff like that. So
yeah, those are really cool too.
Yeah, I like the Salt Factory, White Light, Cvit is good, the Snakerer.
Oh yeah, Cvit. I watch him. He's a good guy. He makes cool
He
stuff.
got into some drama about Persona not too long ago.
Did he?
Because he made this really long video about Persona 5 and how he didn't like it, and a lot of people are tearing that video apart, and it's I don't have I like Persona 5, but I don't care if people criticize it either. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want to say I got into him because he made the YouTube or the Everything Wrong with Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yu-Gi-Oh. Yep,
those were great.
Yep, I like those a lot. And he's another one that kind of transitioned away from that. He got burnt out on doing that, but he explained here's what I want to focus on, and this is what I'm gonna do.
And his other videos are super good.
I like them too. Yeah, absolutely.
I'd say that's an underrated aspect of his channel, but. I want to say also, right before I started reading Berserk, he made a video about how to get into Berserk.
Oh, okay.
Which definitely helped me revisit it, because I do remember way back in the day, because I'd heard about Berserk. So this was right after I finished One Piece.
Yeah.
Back in 2015, or got caught up. I'm not finished, but you know what I mean. So I looked it up and I was like, okay, well, on the manga site that we use,
yeah.
So. Well, the way Berserk starts is it starts with a bunch of lettered chapters, and then it goes to chapter 1 eventually. So my idiot brain went straight to chapter 1, and I didn't know what was going on. So I was like, all right, whatever. I read that one chapter, and I never touched it again until eventually I came back to it. But I think that video probably influenced me to check it out, I would say. So I'm thankful to him for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, because it is one of my all-time favorites now.
Yeah, I watch some gameplay channels, Uber Haxer Nova I like. SSOH PKC just recently came back. I watched him when I was a kid and still really like him. Shady Penguin, he plays mainly Pokemon, but I like his videos a lot and his personality. Call Me Kevin, I watched back when he was a Minecraft tuber back in the day, and he just recently came back and got really big, which is cool to see. And then for comedians and commentary, I like Drew Gooden, Danny Gonzalez. I watch those two pretty frequently. Yeah.
See, now I'm going back through my list and I'm seeing YouTubers that I completely just brush right past. So for instance, William Osmond,
yes, Michael Reeves, there it is.
Love those two.
Yes,
also, I watch
Max
Mofo whenever he uploads on his Pokemon channel.
Yep, and Cold Ones
Regardless,
I watch.
Yep, I do watch Cold Ones.
Yes.
on most of the time. I think I've only skipped 1 or 2 podcasts, but otherwise I've watched all of them.
I like Trihex too. He's more of a streamer than a YouTuber, but he uploads videos and stuff. He's pretty interesting to watch. And then I do a lot of sports content and sports gameplay content, and so within that realm I like Not the Expert. I like Foolish Baseball's really good. Who else do I like? I like C4 is his name. And then I also do a lot of like cooking channels. So I like Binging with Babish.
Yep.
I like Chef PK. He's my new favorite. Like, he is a hidden gem. Like, I love his channel so much. You Suck at Cooking is hilarious, super funny. And yeah, that's about it. The other miscellaneous one is Code Bullet. I really like I've never been super into coding or anything, but he does really like, they're pretty dumb like experiments, but they're pretty funny. They're super good. Okay. Like, he made an AI to beat Tetris like consistently, and so he does that. He made an AI to learn how to play Flappy Bird and like all these just like really obscure programming things that he does. They're super fun and interesting.
That's awesome.
So I guess along this line, one of the big like controversies going on right now is like YouTubers versus Twitch streamers.
Oh, the age-old question.
So I'm interested in your perspective because you make YouTube videos and you stream on Twitch. Like, what are your thoughts on the distinction between the two? And like, I don't think it's fair to say either one is harder than the others, right? I don't think that's a fair statement, especially to people who full-time Twitch stream versus people who full-time like make YouTube content.
Yeah, I think it definitely depends on what you're doing and how much you're doing at the same time.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So like, for instance, you could take a YouTuber that like literally, like, it looks like a literal movie when they upload. Something like that takes an ungodly amount of time, and if they're doing it all themselves, I can confidently say that they're doing a harder job than a Twitch streamer for a fact. But there's also Twitch streamers who like literally put on shows.
Yeah, they're
in like
I was
the
gonna
most
say,
extravagant way possible.
They're definitely like, specifically the one I'm thinking of is Cardboard Cowboy. Like, his streams are like a movie, but live.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
And then it takes so much talent to be able to do that and like pull all those strings to make it work effectively.
Yes.
So it can be just as hard to be a streamer. I would say more often than not, like I said, it literally depends on what you're doing. So like, take a reaction channel on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
It does not take much time to sit down, watch whatever you're reacting to, say a couple goofs and gaffes.
Ooh.
And then, like, even if you're editing your reaction, you're just clipping stuff up. Like, that's going to take you, like, a couple hours max, right?
Okay.
And then take streaming, for instance, right? If you're just sitting down, you turn on a webcam, and you play a game, and you just talk to people, like, at the end of the day, it's really not the hardest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say for myself, more often than not, like, I enjoy streaming the vast majority of the time, but there are some days, for instance, right? Like, take good old Beastly Briggs and Jordan the Anime Dude.
Yes.
So I play Apex with those guys pretty frequently, and a lot of times one or both of them will be streaming if we're playing, and sometimes I'm not. And people are like, "Well, Spooky, why aren't you streaming?" And it's like, well, sometimes I just kind of want to like not have to focus on what's going on in chat and just play the game and like just talk to who I'm talking to, and it's so much more like relaxing in a way because like, in a way, even if you're just playing a game, you kind of feel like you have to like put on a show. Yeah. I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but more or less you have to really be paying attention to everything that's going on, and you don't want to disappoint people.
Yes.
So if I'm not streaming and I just want to play the game, like, I'm not disappointing people. I don't have to put forth extra energy. I can literally just relax. So in that aspect, I can see why streaming definitely has like this whole other side of like difficulty that YouTube doesn't, because with YouTube, unless you're interacting with a bunch of other people, it's just you.
Yeah.
So you don't have to deal with all that extra stuff on top of what you're already doing. It's very, like, I don't know. I can see the benefits / deterrents, the pros and cons for each one, and why they would be easier or harder or vice versa. Yeah. It really depends on what you're doing. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, and I think, like, I don't remember where I saw this or who I saw tweet this, but I feel like the payoff for a YouTube video is a lot more delayed than a payoff for, like, a Twitch stream, right? Because it is the differences within the formatting and within the websites, like the Twitch stream, like you're live interacting with people are following, subscribing, whatever, and you're talking to people while you're playing the game. Whereas with a video, if you put it up and it doesn't get as many views as you expect, or if it doesn't have the likes, or people are commenting they hate it, like, that's a lot more discouraging than a Twitch stream, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I guess I could also see on the other side too, like, let's say Twitch streaming, right? Yeah. Depending on where you're at as a streamer, like, let's say you are like very close to partner, right? Like, you need that 75 viewer concurrentship to like even be eligible, right? So like, let's say you're starting to hit that threshold, you're getting very close. So whenever you fall below it, and you know that like your chances of becoming partner are just that much further away.
Yeah.
It's like, I just needed like 5 more people to show up, and I could have been like, this stream could have been the one that could push me over that edge. I could be like that much closer, and it's like you just can't get there. So seeing that viewership, like let's say it like very slowly starts declining, even though you're streaming more often, you're doing more. People are just, they're watching other people, or they're not around, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I can see how that could be just as discouraging, if not more, in its own way. Because it's like, if people aren't showing up to your streams when you are really need them to in those moments, it's like that could be super discouraging. Just like when you put out a video and it gets demonetized, it doesn't hit the algorithm like you want it to, it just doesn't get suggested to people. All those things are like constant factors, and it's like, okay, well, this video didn't do well, but I put my soul into it. It's like, well, why would I want to make another one?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I'm putting my soul into streaming, and it's just not working. Like, why would I keep streaming? It's I'd say they're like 2 sides of the same coin in that way.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think that's a good way to put it, because I think there are definitely like issues with regards to streaming, like you said, and I think like, for example, a lot of the times the streams that I frequent, they talk about how they hide their viewer count and they just don't look at it, and I think like most of the time that's partnered streamers, and so like it just kind of helps them like with their mentality of just focusing on who is there rather than like, this is 300 viewers, I usually have 1,000. Like, why am I playing this game? Like, they all hate it. Like, there's so many questions and like mental uncertainty that you get from that. But like at the same time, I feel like with regards to a video, like there's so much when you put it out into the world, like it's out there, and at least with the stream, like you are there while it's happening, whether it's good or bad. The video, you can put so much time and effort and be like, yes, fuck yeah, this video rocks, and you put it out there and people hate it.
Yep. It's super tough. It really is. So basically, I think another big factor in it is like, as you get used to growth, right? You get used to what's normal for you, and when you see that normal start to like lower, like you see the graph start to drop, like you see things not doing as well as they were before, like the growth is not as prevalent, or things are just slowing down a lot. It's like you get used to a certain like normal, and when that normal changes, that's probably like one of the more discouraging things, because it's like, well, is this the new normal? Are things just not working right now? Am I going to turn this around? Is there going to be another? Am I going to pass my previous peak? Is this going to end? And like that could also be with streaming too, where it's like you get used to a certain amount of viewers, and all of a sudden it's just much lower than before.
Yes, even if you're not playing a different game or something, or like if you want to try playing a different game, but everyone's like, say you're playing Pokemon, everyone's there for Pokemon, and you like decide to play Zelda, or like even like that's not even like a super drastic change, but like that could be enough that the people who want to see Pokemon just leave.
Yeah, and and that's another thing too. Like I'd say this is something you just kind of have to like teach yourself going in, is that you're not going to please everybody.
Yeah.
So that's why, like you said, you got to focus on who's there. So like that could also be applied to YouTube. You got to focus on who's watching and who's saying like, hey, I really liked this. So even if like it doesn't reach the heights you want it to go, the fact that you still impacted somebody, even in just a slightly positive manner, could still be like a good takeaway.
Absolutely.
That's where you got to focus on the positives at the same time. Which
and it's kind of hard to do that. Absolutely. Yeah. Even like my dinky Pokemon streams, it's hard to like focus on the positive comments and the people that are there to support and play when I've got like, not that it always happens, but some people just come in and they check the rules and then leave. Like, and I like, you know what I mean? Like, they just come in and they just look around. They're like, this guy's not for me. Let me get out of there. But I've got 19 other really cool people that are there to talk to me and hang out and goof and gaff and make my life a hell and have a lot of fun. It's just, you just have to really keep that in perspective. And it's something that I've learned, like, with regards to the online community. Like, it's definitely easy. It's easier to get discouraged than it is to get encouraged about things, I feel like.
Yeah. I've definitely tried to put myself in a mindset where, like, I can't tell you the amount of YouTubers I've talked to where, like, they say a couple different things regarding comments, right? Some of them will say, like, oh, well, there's a point where you just can't read comments anymore. Well, I don't really agree with that myself. I feel like you can take the time to read comments whenever. It's literally a personal choice. I feel like the issue is, you know, at a point there comes to be a lot of them. So, like, maybe you're not going to see every single one, but you can still, like, check up on them. You can still see what's going on. And I feel like I've talked to so many people who are like, well, there can be like 12 positive comments, but there's one negative one that just sticks with you. And to an extent, I think they're correct. But at the same time, though, I've also tried to I tried to take away more from those who are leaving positive stuff than negative. Like the negative at this point, like doesn't really affect me near as much. So like I have learned to really focus on the people who are positive. Yeah. So like for instance, on a couple of videos that I spent a lot of time on but didn't do as well, right? Sure. Whenever those videos do get a comment and I see it and it's like they're like, hey, this was really good. I'm like, wow, somebody took the time out of their day to watch this, even though it didn't perform how I liked, and they complimented it. Like, that's great. I'm glad I did this. That shows that I did the right thing, even if it didn't pan out how I wanted. And that's something I feel like most YouTubers / streamers don't focus enough on. They focus too much on the negatives rather than the positives. And if you just try to flip that mindset around, like, it's not the easiest thing to do, obviously. Sure. But if you just do your best to make it more of a pattern to be like, oh, this person said something really nice to me, I'm gonna think about that today. Like, that's gonna be what drives me to keep going. If you focus on those aspects more than the guys like, oh, this sucks, don't make videos, please. It's like, it can really change how you view things, if that makes sense. Yeah, not everyone can do that, though.
Sure, yeah, no, and it is hard. It's hard for people to, like, it's not necessarily even ignoring criticism. That's what I was going to say, because you're ignoring people that you don't necessarily want anyways. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, if someone's like, oh, I hate this manga versus movie video. I hate this so much. This sucks. Da-da-da. Like, you probably don't necessarily want them around anyways.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because they're not there for you. They're there for, like, they're there for the videos they do like. Or if they are subscribed at all. They might just find it and then, like, be a bitch that day and be like, you suck.
Man, so I follow some some smaller YouTubers on Twitter and stuff. I know you do. Like, I've subscribed to them and whatnot. So I think the
sneaky guy.
Well, one of the funnier things I've seen, just like, you know, viewing the mindset of small creators, like versus like how I view things now, right? So one of the funniest things to me is when like someone will be like, wow, I cannot believe people who just like leave a dislike on a video. Like, I just think it's super funny because it's like, since they have like a lower just like to dislike ratio in general, like they see the dislikes more often and they really focus on it. Where after a certain point, like, you know, your audience grows and it's like, you know, you don't really notice it as much. But even so, it's like, I mean, if someone disliked your video, like they legitimately like, you know, this was not my thing, I'm gonna put a dislike on this video. It's like, you know, they're not a bad person for doing that. Like, there are people out there who, like, you know, I liked this, I'm going to click the dislike button. Those people exist. And there are people who will just click dislike, and leave the video. Those people exist, too. Yeah. But I feel like it's like important to get
them out of there.
Yeah, but I feel like it's such a weird mindset to just be like, man, this guy disliking this video ruined my day. Like, and not even, like, with a comment, with just, like, a click of a button. Yeah, just the dislike. Yeah. I think it's just, like, I don't know why they're focusing so much on that. I just don't get it. Like, even back then, it's like, if a video did worse than usual, I'm like, okay, well, obviously I did something wrong here. So I should try and learn from that.
Yes, and that's exactly what I, like, because I definitely do dislike videos from people that I watch. Like, there's certain ones where I'm like, I really don't like this series. I'd rather you spend more time on something else. And, like, I'm not going to write a big, long paragraph just for people, like, that I don't care about to get mad at me. Like, it doesn't matter if some other commenter, like, really likes that series. Great for them. I'm really happy. But I will, like, but then I'll also, like and comment on the videos and series that I do like from that person. Yeah,
exactly. And, I don't know, I think, like, one example I can think of for myself is, like, there's a video I made a long time ago about, so basically, I came across this little tidbit of information through a data book, right? Yeah. So in Naruto, there's Tobi, right? Yes. So that's obviously, spoiler alert, Obito. Like, that's, you know, that comes to light. Everyone's like, oh, yeah, I saw that a mile away. But it turns out that the little white Zetsu spiral guy that he met as a...
Oh, yeah, I remember you telling me about this. Yeah. Everyone so basically, was butthurt.
Yeah, that spiral Zetsu's actual name is Tobi, according to the data book. So, like, I was trying to just point out, like, hey, you know, Tobi is its own entity. Like, obviously, you know, people at one point thought that Obito was Madara because he called himself fucking Madara. So when he called himself Tobi, he was just mimicking another existing person, which was the spiral Zetsu. Yeah. That's all I was trying to say. But I said it in a dumb way. I said it really bad. I didn't present the facts I was trying to put. So a lot of people got really butthurt about it. And instead of being like, wow, dude, fuck these people, I was more like, okay, I fucked up. I need to correct this mistake and do it right this time. So I made a follow-up, and it was much more well-received because I was like, all right, I know I fucked up, okay? This is what I did wrong. Here's what I'm trying to say. So I think instead of like being like, oh, dude, these fucking dislikes, I cannot. It should motivate you more than anything to do better than you did before. It shouldn't be like, he disliked my video. Why would someone do that? I need to go cry in the corner on Twitter. It's like, dude, relax. It's a button. It's a number. Get out of here.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. That's just how I viewed it. But everyone views things differently, so I'm not saying like you're wrong for thinking that.
No.
If that applies to you, person listening, but
yeah, and there's absolutely like the level of mental health that people have, and like the mental fortitude people have. 'Cause some people can't handle like negative comments on like their Instagram photo or something. But like, I just think that it's a lot easier to say like don't worry about them when you have that mindset yourself.
Mm-hmm. For shizzle. Yeah, it's weird though. Like back to the whole thing of just Twitch versus YouTube. I think they both have their hardships. We'll put it that way.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
In very similar and different ways at the same time.
Yeah, I agree. So we've talked quite a bit about that. I think that was really interesting. I really like picking your brain about YouTube stuff.
Oh, always happy to. I have a lot of experience.
So speaking of your experiences, I hear you're treading new water with your upcoming video, making a video essay. And
yeah,
so
something I've really done before.
I don't want you to spoil anything because I want everyone to watch it, and I'm really excited for it because I do have it spoiled, and am excited for it. So I'm interested to see how has that process been different than making like a fact video or a like abilities explained or like any of your other sort of more traditional content.
So I would say the biggest like difference, obviously, just making those fact videos and explained videos and all those other things. They've given me a lot of experience just like formulating my thoughts and formulating how I would like explain something to a viewer in a way that would work, right? It's basically just a lot of writing experience, even if it's just on a simple scripting level, right? So now the issue is I kind of have to go back to my roots in school, where like you have a topic and you have to present like an introduction, then you got to give your body of paragraphs, and then you have to end with a conclusion, right? And you got to you have to basically explain what narrative you're trying to present to the viewer and why it applies to everything you're talking about. And it's something I haven't really done in a while. Like I could say the closest thing would probably be like the manga versus movies, because I have to really get down and be like, okay, this is what's happening.
Yes.
And I also have to give my opinion, because at the end of the day, it is a review.
Yeah.
So I would say that is what's, but at the same time though, those were super out of my comfort zone when I did them. So, and like even still, they're still like very polarizing to approach. I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm going to go with it. So now with this, it's like I'm trying to more or less present, basically I'm like, okay, so there's this subgenre / these themes that I want to show are in different manga. So what I have to do is I have to present like what it is that I'm trying to illustrate, and then how that applies to all these different manga. And I have to give not only my personal experience with them, like I have to give my own interpretation, which is something that's super hard. Because I feel like a lot of times I struggle with my own personal, at least in scripting format, when I'm trying to like give my own personal opinion or how this affected me. I feel like I don't have the best way to illustrate that with words, more or less. So this has been very different in terms of trying to illustrate what I'm talking about. I've also had to do a lot of like looking up different synonyms for words, because I'm like, all right, I've already used this word like 12 times. I need to change it up.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to use like, I'm trying to also increase my vocabulary with it. If that makes sense.
Getting your word of the day calendar going.
Yeah. So it's been a big change. So I'd say I'm probably a little over halfway through the script now.
Okay.
It's getting there. I have a couple more series that I want to talk about, but at the same time too, I also have to like revisit certain series that's been a while since I've tackled.
Yeah.
Some of these I tackled recently, so it's a lot more fresh in my brain of how like the theme I'm trying to illustrate is applied to it. But some it's been a while, so I have to revisit like, well, why do I think this applies here, and like what aspect specifically do I feel conquer this narrative? And I feel like I have like at this. It's really weird, because when you're doing something that you're not used to, you can't really tell if it's like, well, is this good? Is this good enough? Is this terrible? You don't really know.
Yeah.
And like obviously that's where you could have it like peer reviewed by somebody if you really wanted to like get a second opinion or whatever. But I don't know. It's rough. Basically, it's hard. It's been hard to approach. I have a vision for it, but you know, whenever you have a vision for something, it usually never pans out the way you originally thought it would, right? So it's going to become its own thing no matter what you try to do.
Yeah, that's so interesting because, like, my background, my education is in English, so, like, I've written my fair share of essays in my day.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, hearing you talk about it, it's really interesting because, like, you can make, like, within literature, like, including anime and manga, you can make any point about anything you want as long as you have textual support or, like, support from the source material. You can make whatever point you want, right?
Yep.
Like, I did a big paper on how the Matrix was, like, stood in for Christianity. And that's a really, it's really interesting. Like, the Matrix I've seen so many times in preparation for that. Like, I could probably recite, like, everything that happens in the first Matrix film.
Yeah.
And so, like, but the fact that, like, I had that idea given to me by a professor and just kind of was like, that's interesting. I like movie. I want to write movie. I want to write about a movie instead of a book. And so, like, but the difference is, like, finding text within a film or within, like, it's hard to look at a script because there's also the connotation of how things are said.
Yeah.
With regards to that. And, like,
and sometimes it's purely just visual, right? It's not even
exactly.
like, yeah, like we talked about that earlier with Berserk. So continue, please.
And so, like, I think it's really fascinating because when you write an essay, like, about anything, ultimately you want to convince the audience about your opinion. And that can be about anything as long as there's the text to support it. So, like, when you're talking about, I don't know if I have all the sources and stuff like that, like, that's just very reminiscent of my college experience, basically. It was my roundabout way to get there.
Yeah, it's definitely, I know that's why, you know, we wanted to talk about it, obviously, because it fits more with, like, your personal experiences with, like, writing in general, and this is similar because it is a video essay. It's, like, taking that but just applying it with visuals, more or less. So it's been something. Obviously, I feel like since it's something I'm not used to, it's going to take me longer than I want it to, which is definitely demoralizing or demotivating in its own way, but I'm also excited because it's new ground, and I feel like it's interesting to me. So obviously when something is interesting to you, you feel like if you show that to other people, hopefully it'll also be interesting to them. Like, that's the main takeaway I want to get, even if it flops, because I know, like, obviously, since this is untreaded water for me and what I've done previously on my channel, like, obviously you can't expect a miracle to happen. It just has to, you just have to throw it out there and hope for the best. And that's kind of just what I know going into it, more or less.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting, like, just, I mean, knowing you as a person and, like, your direction your channel has taken, like, the expectation is almost for the fact videos or for the, like, detailed explanations. But I feel like, just knowing your personality, I feel like this video essay is something that's you're more passionate about. Yeah,
for sure. I would say, I've definitely, like, I'm trying to, like, transition to new things because I feel like I still, like, really enjoy the idea of fact videos because I just like learning dumb stuff about things.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what it is. It's like you could just walk up to me and be like, hey, did you know that in the Matrix, he's Jesus? If I didn't know that, I'd be like, what? Are you serious?
Yeah.
Like, I never thought about that before. Like, it's just, and, like, that applies to, like, anybody who doesn't know about these things. Like, you can walk in, get quick, dumb information, and it's like, wow, that's super cool, and then you leave. And I still, like, find a lot of value in that.
Yes.
But I feel like at a certain point, you've done it so much, or you do it a lot, and it's like, okay, well, is this what it's always going to be? So I still want to do them, and I still plan to do them, but I want to transition to other things more prevalently. So, like, with explained videos, I figured, like, well, I'm kind of already doing explained videos in a fact video as it is. So it's literally just a rebranding of the same thing. But it's also different because you're focusing all on one topic rather than, like, information. Like, you can explain something based on just how you view it rather than like having to find this information through, like, online sources. Like, you can just read the manga and be like, okay, well, this is how I think it works. Is that actually how it works? Yep. Okay, cool. I'm gonna say it in my own words. It's super simple. And then with, like, so another thing, like, with top 10s, right? So, like, I've done a couple of those.
Yes.
I actually haven't done that many, but a lot of people say, oh yeah, he's like a
You're
top 10.
You're the top 10
like, well,
guy. That's you.
Yeah, but I've only done so many, to be fair. Like, it's one of my, like, least uploaded, like, genres, you could say.
Yeah. Okay.
But I did them so differently compared to how I always saw them. So, like, back in the day, you know, like let's take a Watch Mojo or just
Hell
any other
yes.
random top 10 channel.
Watch
like,
Mojo.
So like basically what they would always do is they'd be like, okay, well this is the top 10 like banana flavors, and then they just like say them. I'm just making an example, right?
Well, okay.
Okay, let me use a different example.
Keep with banana flavors. I don't want
top 10 best fruits.
No,
right?
I don't.
Top 10
okay,
best
great.
Fruits. We'll do that.
What I wanted to avoid, but cool.
They would. Well, I'm not gonna get super into it. Basically, they do like top 10 best fruits, and then they would go over them. So like, let's say like number 9 is a grape. Grapes are super juicy and fun. Number 8, and like that's the whole video, and it's like, well, okay, sure, they're juicy and great, but why is that better or worse than the next thing that comes up? Like you're not giving me any. Because I feel like with top 10s, like it's obviously personal opinion, but if you're not putting your opinion in there, how can like we even like take away anything from it? Yeah. It's just a list. There's there's nothing further.
Yes.
So I was like, okay, well, I can do that, but I can really, really explain why I'm putting these things where I'm at. Like, okay, this is why I think this is better than this. This is why this is worse than that. Yada yada yada. And like I feel like adding that little extra like personal spice to it made it just like it's completely different thing that I had never seen previously done before. So I feel like that's why those are still super fun for me to make.
Yes.
Even though I don't do them all the time. And then with like manga versus movies, I feel like that's something that I'm just super interested in myself.
Yeah, I know
even
you are.
if they don't do well.
I know you
I really
are.
like film, but I like also seeing like when it comes to adaptations in particular, like what happens that either makes like something really good or really bad, or like what went wrong, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
What's the same, what's different. It's super interesting to me. And then like I have like hundreds of like video ideas for just like one-off junk.
Yes.
That I'll probably never even do. But just the fact that I can always be like, well, that's still a super interesting idea. I want to try that. It gives you so many options. So like I plan super far ahead with my uploads, and I'm definitely going to be trying a lot of new things here and there.
Yeah, I can
and
tell.
a lot of the same old.
With regards to your planning, like that's very much how we are with the podcast. Because
Oh yeah.
I invited someone on, like a new person on. And I had to say, like, well, we have it all planned out for a month and a half, so can we make that work? And it just is like we have these planned out, and it's definitely like something that I appreciate, but it's just kind of comes naturally to us to plan things out.
Yeah, I think it's definitely helpful to plan ahead, and
Yeah.
then like if you need to make changes,
Yeah.
you can. But as long as you have like that
That
preconceived
rough
notion
outline
of like
what you're gonna do. Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's super helpful because even like with my big list on the side, I'm still willing to move things around or like be like, you know what, I actually don't know if I want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I can just like swap it with many of the other ideas I have, and it's like you just keep going down the list. But even just having like an outline, like, 'cause like let's just say for the manga versus movies in particular, right?
Yeah.
Like, I have over 100 that I was like, all right, I want to do them in this order.
Oh my god.
But it's like I don't like realistically in my YouTube lifetime, I probably will never do
All 100.
near that many.
Yeah.
Yeah, near that many. So it's like just the fact that I can plan ahead and like there's so many that I want to get to. It's like sometimes I'll move them around. Sometimes I'm like, all right, this has to stay just like this. It's I don't know. I do it like some YouTubers are really like they wake up and they just I'm gonna make this today.
Yes.
I'm not like that. I'm the exact opposite. I plan way too far ahead.
And so this is going off of our outline.
Yes.
But I want to talk a little bit about your recent tweet about how you fucking hate video games now.
Oh, well,
That's
I wouldn't say that I
tweet.
hate
That's not
video
your actual
games,
tweet.
but
I'm memeing.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
where you said something, I'm trying to find your exact tweet.
I want to say that I said that I'm just kind of like
I mean, you can
I'm
say it
disappointed
however
that
you
I
want because it's your opinion. So if you're changing it now, you can.
I'm
won't yell
not.
at ya.
I'm basically what I said was I'm kind of disappointed in myself that I've fallen out of love with video games in recent years. Like I don't feel the drive to want to play them, especially like when it comes to single player. I made a follow-up reply to somebody because obviously you're limited to characters. But I basically said like, well, obviously, they were like, well, what about the Apex boys? And I was like, well, that's the thing though. Like when it comes to video games, I've been finding enjoyment through playing games with other people, and it's been like that for a long time now. Like with Fortnite, with like when we were playing like Monopoly a lot.
Yeah, this isn't
online.
Yeah, this isn't a new thing for you.
Yeah, but I still like even back then I still played single player
Like
games, so it's
Pokemon.
not like I wasn't like it wasn't like I fell out of it. It's more just like recently I'm like, well, I don't know, like I want to play that just to be able to say like, hey, I've played this. I feel like you're missing out in a way.
Yeah,
but I just don't have that drive anymore. I don't know what happened.
And so like my question then is like, and I like I'm not trying to be a negative about that because I prefer single player games and that's just my personal preference.
Yeah.
And so like like with regards to your YouTube or your Yu-Gi-Oh is what I meant to say, not YouTube.
Oh yeah.
Your Yu-Gi-Oh game you're streaming on Twitch. Do you find that streaming it helps you like maybe be motivated to play that single player game more often because there is that like interaction with other people involved in streaming?
I would say so for sure. I definitely like that game in particular. It's like enjoyable, but also awful at the same time.
That's one I don't think I could get through.
Because it's basically like the idea of Pokemon where it's just like you rinse and repeat training basically the whole time. But you also have to like, there's like all these little things along the way and like it's very hard most of the time. So it's something, we'll put it that way. But just being able to experience with other people definitely like passes the time. It makes it more enjoyable. I will say that for sure. I'd say the only other thing that like deters me is the fact that obviously when it comes to any hobby or enjoyment that you find from like media, it's just like it's time consuming. So
absolutely.
I feel like one thing I've been struggling a lot with like the past like 2 years is just time management.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's just always so many things I want to get to.
Yes,
like
I can tell that from your Twitter account too.
Yeah, like just take like manga and anime just alone. Like my watch list is enormous, and I don't find a lot of times to like really get into it. Like usually how it goes is like I'll start a new series, mostly reading, and like because I can get through it faster.
Yes,
it's like okay, I feel like I'm not wasting too much time. Whereas with anime, it's like that's like a half hour you got to dedicate for how many episodes? ?
Yeah.
And like it eats up time, and I feel like I've fallen back in love with movies a lot lately because it's it's not like 300 episodes that I have to dedicate myself to. It's like 2 hours, 3 hours maximum, and that's like it's mostly like an hour and a half usually.
Yeah.
So it's very consumable, and I can get through a lot more. And there's so many different great aspects to film, and also horrible aspects depending on what you're watching. So there's so much more enjoyment I found out of it and then you apply video games to that, it's somewhere in the middle, because like video games obviously don't take near as long as like a show, but at the same time it's like, like you're going to have to dedicate probably at least like 7 to 20 hours for a lot of like single player games, depending on what it is, obviously.
If not more, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know if I haven't really found the time for that, but then at the same time, I'm able to like be like, oh, well, I want to play like 20 hours of Apex with the boys, and I don't even notice it. Yeah. So it's I think it's more just like me psyching myself out than anything. It's weird. It's weird,
and I think that's fair. And so with regards to specifically like Fire Emblem, right? That's the one I've bothered you about a lot recently.
Yes.
Is like it's on the Nintendo Switch. So I can watch a YouTube video or I can watch episodes of anime. Like, I mean, I don't because I don't like dub that much, but like I can watch something that I want to, and I can play the game and just kind of, I can still pay attention to the story, but it's more like I've got my background noise, so it's like I'm doing two things at once.
Yeah.
And so that's like,
I used to do that with
that's
RuneScape.
where I think the Switch, that's where I think the Switch is so powerful, because it's got like really cool games and stuff that I enjoy, but you can have it as a handheld, so you can have other things going on while you're epic gaming. Yeah,
I should try that. I haven't really like, when it comes to video games recently, I haven't tried multitasking it in a while. Because like with RuneScape in particular, it's like since you've played it, you know what I'm talking about. Like you can do like you can literally just cut trees and like completely focus on something else and not have to pay attention.
Absolutely done that too. Yeah.
Yep.
Absolutely.
But you still make progress. You still make progress.
Yes.
It's like you're making money. You're getting your skills up. Like it feels like you're still accomplishing something. And then if you want to do something harder, like focus on a quest that's like really got like a lot of bosses or whatever the frick. Yeah. It's like you could still have something in the background, but most of the time you're just playing.
Yes.
So I haven't really tried that with other video games, you could say, because I feel like there's more attention involved.
And with, like, Fire Emblem, it is voice acted, so you do, like, I liked listening to it, but you don't have to. Like, you can read the dialogue and stuff going on, but you can also even have the voices and, like, pause your show, or, like, pause the movie, or whatever, and then come back to it. That's what I do with Persona, which has been the game I've been playing a lot lately, is, like, there's a lot of voice acting in that, but there's also dungeons that you go through, and so, like, I'll have a basketball game, or I'll have like research for the podcast, or I'll have something up on my phone or on my other monitor while I'm grinding in a dungeon for an hour or two. And I think that like, and also like looking at the Pokemon games I've been streaming on the Sushi channel, like those are those would be harder to get through without the stream chat and like without the way I'm playing them. with people interacting and like killing my Pokemon, reviving my Pokemon, stuff like that. Like it just really
experience.
It just adds another dynamic to it. And I love Pokemon. I love the series Pokemon. And like I would probably play through all those games again on my own time, but I have much more like motivation to do so because I'm streaming it with other people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can see that for sure. That's why I'm hoping, like, when I do play Persona, because that's what I'm going to be playing soon as I finish this Yu-Gi-Oh game, which I'm getting through it. And then I'm going to be streaming Persona.
Yes.
And then that's going to be... I'm hoping that I'm going to, you know, get sucked into it, and then I'll want to play it a lot more.
Yes.
Stream a lot more in the process, obviously. So it'll be like a win-win-win.
Yes. I'd be very surprised if you didn't like the Persona, like, atmosphere and game and characters. It's very much like when you get there, we'll talk more about it, but it's like a family. Like it's these characters are so comfy and so like enjoyable to hear, interact, and just chill with.
That's what I'm hoping for too, because I feel like at the end of the day, like most of the time when it comes to most media, like there's not very much I can say that like I openly am like, man, I hated that.
That sucks.
It doesn't happen very often. Like most of the time it's like, well, even if I was like, you know, if I have a more negative than positive experience, I can still see the, you know, the benefits of both sides. So I feel like at the end of the day, I'm probably going to like it. I don't see why I wouldn't. I'm not going into it wanting to hate it, more or less.
No, I know you're not. And I think like Persona as a whole, like the only thing I can really like understand like disliking about Persona is the character design. Like if you don't like the character design, then I can see why you wouldn't like it. Or if you don't like turn-based games, like there's the other option. But
I hate anime.
I know you hate anime, but like, the designs are so cool. Like everything, like when you see the dungeons, you'll understand how cool the game design is in this game.
Frick yeah.
And so,
well, I will update the boys on the American Sushi Podcast when I get there though. So look forward to it if you like Persona.
It's fun. So I guess we're gonna probably like just briefly touch upon the weekly Shonen Jump manga.
Oh yeah.
And just move through them fairly quickly since we've been chit-chatting a while here, and we've still got plenty to talk about.
Oh man, Jojo's.
With JoJo's.
We're gonna get there.
So like Black Clover, the only thing I really want to say is like this most recent fight is super badass.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was super cool.
I'm just more or less just checked out on Black Clover at the moment. I don't know what it is. I think it's we talked about it briefly before, like my whole thing with the demons and whatnot, but I will say this fight with Dante, right? Dante?
Yeah.
It's been super cool.
The Yami
also
and
the fight against
Asta,
the one lady.
Like, yeah, that was cool too. But like
it's been dope basically.
But Yami, and it's kind of been like mindlessly cool. Like Yami and Asta teaming up is sweet because they're both like black magic.
Goats.
Yeah, yep. They're both really cool. And so like them teaming up is gonna be cool naturally. But
so I guess in that aspect I've been enjoying it. It's more just like I feel like I just need to, once this arc gets a little further, I just need to reread it and be like, okay, I see what they're going for now. Sometimes it's hard to do that week to week. I was kind of that way with My Hero Academia's like Class 1A versus 1B arc.
I know a lot of people didn't like that very much.
I didn't mind it. It just felt like dragged out, I'd say. So that's where I'm at with Black Clover, but I'm excited to see what's coming, honestly. It's
I guess before we go into My Hero, like Attack on Titan was super hype this month. This chapter, like here's our big spoiler alert, because Attack on Titan, I don't want to like spoil people if they haven't read it. So like right here, if you're watching the stream, mute it. If you're in the video, skip ahead, because Attack on Titan spoiler talk coming. Okay.
Oh boy.
So I think like this most recent chapter really finally sold me on Eren as the villain, as opposed to like assuming he was going to come back around and be good.
Oh yeah, like it's been very up in the air for a long time what his true intentions were and whose side he's on. But he's kind of on his own side at this point. He's just like, it's gone full bad shit nuts mode.
Like super, and then like this like chapter I think can like really be evident of Attack on Titan being a masterpiece if the ending like gets stuck. Like if they stick the ending, because like the two like little guys that don't really have names or anything that are in this chapter that Eren fucking squishes, like that is such a cool like mirror of how he was as a kid, how Eren was younger at the beginning of the series.
It's kind of mind-boggling, honestly. It's like the whole journey to get to that point, and then like even that little flashback with him too, where he's like he knows that he's gonna kill these kids in the future,
and he's like
he's
sad
very like he's
not,
regretful, but he's also like, not at the same time.
I've got to do it to make things right. That's his motivation, and he like this is probably one of the best like enemy motivators that I've ever seen in a medium. Like one of the best villain motivations. Like his motivation for like killing everything. Like you don't really think you're gonna side or like understand the motivation of someone who wants to end the world, essentially.
Oh yeah.
But for Eren, like we've been with him for so long and we've seen his character growth, and like especially this chapter, like you see why and like how hard this decision was for him. You have to sympathize a little bit.
Like, that's a lot you gotta put, like, genocide on a global scale is definitely something you have to you can't leisurely just put that on your shoulders unless you just have no feelings.
Yeah,
period.
Exactly.
And, like, even then, I don't know, I think that would still be very surreal. Yeah. To just be like, I don't care about nothing, but I'm gonna kill everybody.
And to think of his, like, motivations and deliberations of this, like, to show that he really was, is pretty cool, I think. Yeah. And very good. So... they're starting the last season of the anime in October, I think.
2021? Nope. They actually just pushed it back. It's 2021 now.
Pranked ya. It's in 2021.
A bunch of people were like, well, 2020 officially worst.
But like, they're so that means I think it's going to end by like January at the latest.
Oh, yeah. I feel like even, like as the anime's going, obviously there's still a lot they have to animate for this final arc, because they're going to finish it off. So like, even if the anime starts and the manga's still going, by the time they get to where the manga's at now, it'll be over. There's no question about it. It's gonna take,
no way.
It'll take at least a year, I feel, for like the anime to completely play out if it's on a weekly basis. That is
exactly,
because there's a lot to cover, and it's coming to an end. I know, having done a fact video on Attack on Titan, so they did a little documentary with Isayama, the mangaka for it, and he drew what he said is going to be the last panel of the manga. Like he already has it all planned out, obviously. Okay. And the last panel kind of shows like somebody holding a baby. So I'm thinking that's supposed to be Historia's baby. Yes. Yep. So if that's the final panel, I'm gonna be shook. Like
that's gonna be that could be really cool. Yep, absolutely. So
big shocked.
My Hero Academia. They are fighting big bad man guy, Gigantomachia. He is pissed. He is angry, and the little baby 1A students are trying to frick him up. Yep.
I thought it was kind of interesting how, I forget his name, but the guy Mr. Compression, is that his name? I fucking can't remember.
The Top Hat Boy?
Yeah, Top Hat Boy.
Yeah.
So he was, I think he was the one, either that or Dobby were the one that mentioned that, he's, Gigantomachia's got these, like, quirks. I didn't realize that he was, like, an amalgamation of quirks given to him from All for One. Yeah. I thought, like, he was his own thing, so that was kind of interesting to find out.
Yeah, where he's, like, one of the fucking Nobu. Almost.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, like, in a way.
Like a big, strong Nobu.
Basically, yeah. But like,
and then Mount Lady's pissed.
Yeah, she got like wrecked.
She's like two-faced looking at the end of the chapter. Yeah. Like she's super mad.
I'm definitely happy, like, because in the beginning when she was first introduced, she was kind of displayed more as I'm just in this for the money. But it shows that like she's actually, she's hero, actually being a hero at the end of the day,
instead
which
of just
very noble.
The sponsorships and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'm glad to see that, she's not a scumbag and she actually is doing her best. Yeah. That makes her better, best girl contender.
That's not true, but...
No, she's not the best girl. I'm saying, like, she's up there.
Yeah, where she's a better written female character.
She's a better character.
She's not Momo level, who's, like, fucking standing strong during this.
Oh, fact.
She is up there with best girl. Mm-hmm. Like, her planning and stuff, I think, like... It's going to be a really interesting arc, because I think, like, this is going to lead into some sort of time skip of some sort.
Oh, yeah.
Because they've got that foreshadowing of, like, this is the end of the heroes or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, so, that's, like so menacing. What does that mean?
Something's happening, and it's probably going to happen soon, it seems like.
Yeah.
It seems like we're going to have this Gigantomachia fight, maybe a couple League of Villain fights, and then Shigurachi? What the fuck is his name? Am I stupid?
Shigaraki.
Yeah, him versus Deku is going to happen. So, like, maybe Deku and Gran Torino. Gran Torino's dead. There's no way he's living through this.
Yeah. I feel like one of three things is going to happen. So there's either going to be everybody dies.
Yes.
Aside from a select few. That's a strong possibility.
That'd be awful.
I would hate that.
Yeah.
Or B, that original statement of the heroes disappeared more or less meant that they all just went to this one location, not that they all died.
Yeah, and they're
so that's another possibility.
Training or something there, I guess.
Well, no, I meant like they all left to go fight Shigaraki.
Oh,
like, that's
okay.
why the city's empty, because the heroes disappeared to fight this battle.
Him, yeah. Okay.
Like, you could interpret it that way, so I'm thinking that's what maybe they're getting at. Or B or C, sorry.
Okay. I
feel like it's going to be a fairy tale situation where they somehow just get disappeared for like 3 years, and then they just show up and they're like, what?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I'd really like to see a time skip to My Hero. I'd like to see them more mature. And
I know the author wants to do that. So
I think that's going to look really cool, because the designs are all very unique and interesting now. Like, when they're more developed and, like, adult looking, like, it's going to be really cool.
Oh, yeah. I would love, like, a Shippuden My Hero Academia
me too.
at some point. Whether that comes sooner or later, I'm fine with either. But I do want it. I want it. I want it eventually. Okay,
yes. All right. And then One Piece. One Piece is also... One Piece just happened today, too. But
yeah, we just read that.
The initial thing I want to ask you is, are you on Team Yamato for Nakama?
I'm definitely not against it. I'm way more than Carrot, that's for sure.
Me too, yep.
Frick Carrot, please.
Yeah, Carrot sucks.
Out of here. Not a Carrot sympathizer. I think she's okay to hang around, but not as a Nakama.
Yeah, she looks like Yoko Kurama.
Yeah,
she's about to do that again, too, after...
so is
Catboy.
This
part. Yep, Catboy's pissed. He's Cheshireing it up, and he's like, hey, gonna wreck Kaido.
I would say, honestly, like, a lot is happening right now, and I'm all for it. But one thing I will say is kind of a deterrent for me, is I feel like things are happening very quickly compared to how they have in previous arcs.
Yeah.
I feel like they would do a lot more of showing every little aspect of what's going on in that location, rather than just like, okay, everyone's here, everyone's fighting, but they're focusing more on what's going on with these guys. Like, you'd think they'd be more of like, I mean, I'm sure that they're really going to do this in the anime, mostly.
Yeah.
Like, the anime is going to be the one to flesh out these separate locations and who's doing what and all these battles and whatnot.
Yeah.
But in the manga specifically, like, they touched upon how, like, oh, Marco's over here fighting fucking Pedro Sparrow, and like, they just say, like, oh, yeah, they're over there. They're here, but they're over there.
They're over there.
And then they go to the next person. Oh, Law's here. He's doing that.
Yep.
I feel like they should focus more on everything that's happening, because some things are going to be overshadowed for sure.
Yeah.
But if you give things their spotlight, then it's going to feel much more complete to me. That's my biggest criticism right now.
Do you think Luffy is going to be the one to fight Kaido?
I think so. Yeah.
Really? Okay.
I feel like I don't think the samurai are going to kill him, and I don't think Zoro's going to be the one to kill him.
What about Momo?
Anyone who thinks that's a Nimrod.
What about Momo?
Nah, he's a child.
Momo's got
what's he gonna
Conqueror's Haki. Momo's going to have Conqueror's Haki. There's no way he's not. No way.
Well, I mean, I guess he's also a dragon, so I mean, theoretically, but he's also a miniature dragon, and Kaido's a literal skyscraper.
There's going to be something with Momo versus Kaido. There's no way there won't be.
I'd be surprised. I feel like him declaring himself as Odin's son was kind of his moment with Kaido. I don't think it's going to go further than that, but that's my personal opinion.
So...
I've been wrong many times before.
So I'm going to go back to my manga club discussion with Lohli, where he said he thinks Luffy's going to fight Big Mom still and finish that fight, and everyone else is going to go against Kaido.
Well, I think right now that is yes. So basically, what happened in the recent chapter that we just read today is the samurai and Kaido went like outside of the building they're in to fight like on a roof or something.
Kaido's like, I hear you, let's go fight out here, please.
But Kaido basically said to Luffy, like, yeah, I'll fight you, but I gotta do this first.
Good luck.
So now he's gonna fight the samurai. I feel like the samurai are probably gonna do a little bit and then lose completely. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And then Luffy's gonna fight Big Mom right now. And something's gonna happen with that. I don't know what, but somehow it's going to transition to Luffy either A, defeating Big Mom and going to face Kaido, or B, he gets away from the fight somehow to fight Kaido.
Okay.
At a later time. I feel like it's going to go to that. I don't know if he's going to fight Luffy alone.
Yeah.
I don't know if Luffy's going to fight Kaido alone, or if Law, Kid are going to get involved, other Straw Hats.
Yeah.
There's so many factors at play
right
now in this one location.
Yes.
That, like, I would not be surprised if everybody is fighting Kaido at some point, or if only a very select few, or just Luffy.
Or everyone gets wrecked trying to fight him.
Yeah. It's like...
There's a lot of options right now. A lot of pieces in play, and not... Like, this was a lot of... a pretty big setup chapter for what's going to go down.
Exactly. And that's why I'm trying to think, like, I really hope all these little elements in between get fleshed out a little more.
Upon.
Yeah, because like even just think of like let's just use Water 7 as an example. Right? Every single Straw Hat got their fight, and it was very focused on the whole time. And it's like here, it's like, okay, they're just like panel. Oh,
here are all these different people. They're all gonna do this. Here we go.
They're not focusing on like every individual person at this point.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel like at that point that's where it kind of feels rushed.
Yeah.
But that could still change. It could just be getting to this moment and then fleshing everything out.
Yeah, this was the setup moment, and now let's watch all the fights happen simultaneously, but each get their own chapters or something.
Yep. But it also worries me though, because like the last like entire arc / just time skip in general has been very off-screen fight heavy.
Yeah.
A lot. Or they'd start a fight and they'd finish it off screen. And it's just super annoying. Compared to how things used to be.
Yeah. It's going to be, this is, Ueno's really heating up here.
Yep. It's finally reaching that point that everyone's been waiting for like the big war moment. And if Marineford is what we can expect this to, I'm not saying like they're obviously you can compare them,
not
but
the
they're
emotional
two different
weight
things.
to it.
Like it does with the samurai, but
sure,
not
but
like,
not to our main
most people
task
aren't as
much.
invested.
Yeah, we're not in. No one, like I'll be very general. No one is as invested in the samurai as they are in Luffy.
Yeah.
Like Luffy is the character, and Marineford was his like defining moment, like one of his defining moments.
Because I know in the past, I don't remember if it was Oda or his editors, somebody, some high-profile person involved with One Piece, said that at some point, I don't remember if they specifically named Wano.
Or I think I know what you're gonna say.
They basically said that there's going to be something that rivals and surpasses Marineford.
It
looks like childish.
Like,
And it's like
I saw that.
That's why like overhype can be a problem, because it's like, okay, that's a big statement.
Yeah,
how are you going to live up to that? So I don't know if this is that moment, but pieces are coming together that could, put that in place, basically.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with One Piece.
Okay.
A lot going on.
Bada bing,
Yamato's great though.
I love Yamato. She's awesome.
Evan.
You're
how
right.
Dare you?
And
How dare you?
I think Yamato, if they were to join the One Piece pirates, the Straw Hat crew, like that would be the perfect like trio to finish up Robin and Nami.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like such a different personality to both of them, and I think that works super well. So there's my plug for Yamato for Nakama. Do I think it's going to happen?
Yamato.
Probably not, but I would like it to.
Oh yeah, we also got our first freaking cover photo with
Jinbei. Yeah,
officially in the crew. That's legendary.
Jinbei.
Love it.
Hate Jinbei. Anyways, JoJo's Part 7. JoJo's Part 7. Still bollo runnu.
Ho ho.
What did you think of it? You finished it recently. I finished it a while ago.
Drum roll, please. I loved it.
You loved it?
I loved it. I honestly think that it's my second favorite JoJo part, just
Really?
behind Part 3.
Oh, that blows my mind.
There's so much that all right, I'm not going to say it's perfect like most people do, right? Sure. I have reflected on this a lot over the past like couple hours / last night.
Yeah.
And it's not perfect.
Okay.
It is not a 10 out of 10 that people make it out to be. But I do think it has so many great things that have evolved from the previous parts to get to this point. Obviously, it is not in correlation with the other parts mainly than references, right?
Yes.
Because it's its own new alternate universe.
We'll start, like, our spoiler warning right here for JoJo's Part 7.
Oh, yeah.
We are going to get into spoilers. Da-da-da-da. Skip ahead, mute, whatever you got to do it, because we're going to spoil stuff.
Yeah. But basically, I feel like so many things were done so well the majority of the time. Like with Part 6, we had so much to talk about in terms of highs and lows for me.
Okay.
Like there were big highs and big lows. For this one, I would say it was mostly highs with some like middles. I wouldn't say there's any part where I was like, this is not good. There were parts where I was super, super invested. There were parts where I'm like, okay, come on, let's get to the point here. I don't really know about this, but I was never like, man, what the hell is that? There was no point where I was like, had to just like facepalm. Where I've had to do in previous parts, for sure.
See, okay, so this isn't my favorite part. I don't, I need to preface this before all JoJo stans get mad. Like, I love every JoJo part. I am caught up to Part 8, I love all of them. There's not, JoJo as a whole is fucking great. But when we're comparing JoJo parts to JoJo parts, it's like comparing emeralds to diamonds. Like, one of those you're gonna wear on a wedding ring, and one of those looks really pretty and is a Pokemon game. So, they're both gemstones, they're both valuable. But with
actually,
regards
they're both Pokemon games.
You're right.
Because you kind of fucked up right there with that analogy, but please continue.
Anyways, so let me start with the biggest pro, which is Johnny and Jiro.
For sure.
The best bro duo in all of JoJo's, probably. They are so funny. They play off each other so well. And, their motivations both are so interesting and fun.
Yeah.
Believable and fun, okay? I love Johnny as a JoJo. I think he's great. A lot of people don't think he's that great, but I think his sarcasm and, his motivations and, what happened to him as a child, that really, for, the tragedies put upon him, and the fact that he doesn't have legs, that's so interesting.
So, I feel like Johnny is this really weird JoJo for me, right? Because I've thought, this is, the one thing I'm still conflicted on, is, where I would put him in my list of, the favorite MCs.
Yes,
I don't know. I'm still on the fence, because I feel like there's so many great things about him, but there's still some things where I'm like, well, I don't know. He's mostly overshadowed by Gyro most of the time.
Yes, absolutely
I would say.
Is.
I feel like it's mainly, the Gyro show, and then Johnny's, the supporting character the majority of the time.
I'd put him with Part 4 Josuke.
Yeah.
I think
that's what I was kind of feeling. They're very, they are very similar, for sure. I feel like...
Where, within both parts, the atmosphere and, the other characters almost steal the show over the JoJo.
I liked him a lot, but I also, he didn't, there's some points where I'm he's not really impressing me as, the main character, you know? He's, in the middle somewhere.
Yes.
And I still haven't decided where exactly I want to put him, because I definitely, going to Part 6, I still like Jolene better.
I like Jolene, a lot better. And I like Part 8 Josuke a lot, too. I think you'll like him when you get to him.
Frick, yeah. Well, that's coming up at a later time, future podcast, because I will read it, because I gotta read Part 8, obviously. But for Johnny's sake, I feel like there was a lot of really cool things about him, for instance, you already touched upon. I think it was super interesting for Araki to make the main character a cripple. I think that's, people these days are talking a lot about representation in media for different, people, and I think, seeing, the hero/anti-hero character as, somebody they could relate with, as somebody who's maybe paralyzed, could be a super endearing thing. I feel like obviously we don't see it that way because we don't relate on that level, but it's something that for such a big staple in manga, in anime culture, I feel like that's such an important thing for a lot of people, and I thought that was really cool, really interesting the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Wholeheartedly with that.
He's got a lot of different great character moments. I like the idea of how, Johnny's that kind of person that he put that on stream.
There's baby Johnny, who's very creepy looking, by the way.
Yeah.
I just had to put that because I think I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
no, you're fine.
The actual Johnny as a whole, I think, and Part 7 as a whole has a lot of really good soulful moments that I clipped and that I really enjoyed. And the character interactions, that's basically the big plus for me. Is all the character interactions, Hot Pants I liked Johnny and Jiro, obviously, they have the best dynamic in all of JoJo's, I would argue. Maybe Joseph and Caesar, I could say.
I think this is better, in my opinion.
I like these two better,
obviously,
too. Just because
Joseph is my favorite
there
JoJo.
There are multiple moments where I laughed out loud at Johnny and Jiro.
Yep.
Gyro.
I don't know. They obviously are the best dynamic. I'm sure we'll talk about Gyro in specific. I don't know if it's Gyro or Jiro. I'm just going to call him Gyro.
Okay.
That's what I'll call him. It doesn't matter,
too.
Obviously. You can call him whatever you want.
We've called him everything.
We know
so
who we're talking about.
We can't be wrong.
But, yeah. Watch it be Gyro. Gyro.
Gyaro.
But I liked how they have also they're very different, but they mesh well together at the same time. There's this whole plot point about how Johnny, he knows what he wants. He has his goals, and he will do anything to achieve it. You can see it in his eyes that there are moments where he will straight up murder somebody and not feel any remorse.
Absolutely.
Because he is if this is in my way, I don't care. Yes. Whereas Gyro's not like that. He's dealing with his own.
But he almost does
his own
have
expectation.
That. I think
he does and he doesn't.
That towards what his home country and what.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to. Well, what I'm trying to say is he has these expectations put upon him from his family, right? To be this mindless executioner, to not butt into where he shouldn't put his nose.
Yeah.
That's a prevalent thing throughout the entire time.
Yes.
And
it is.
That's where he's on the fence, where he's well, obviously I want to win this race, but I don't really want to kill somebody to do it, or I don't have
It's on his motivation for the race is different.
To save a child.
It's different than Johnny's. Yeah, it's to save the child, right? But that's
and that's
like
going
his
against what
motivation.
he's expected of him at the same time.
Yes.
So that's why he's
Because
very
he was
like conflicted the whole time.
Yes.
More or less. Whereas Johnny's like, all right, I know what I want. Like this.
Like I want to be able
We'll
to
get
walk.
to that plot point, but yeah.
Uh-huh.
And like he wants to find out the secrets of the ball, the rotation.
Yeah.
And now this corpse, which we're gonna get to. I'm sure 'cause that's a big plot
Uh-huh.
point. But yeah, Gyro though is great. I feel like one thing about him specifically that was very confusing to me for a while though, is the fact that he could see stands as a non-stand user.
See,
I know like
he had a stand at one point, like infused into
like
the
they
ball.
showed it.
Yeah, and so like there are certain moments where he doesn't see them too within the manga.
Oh really?
Yes,
I didn't pick up on that.
This is I'm gonna divulge my secrets. This is from Haman Beats video. It's like debunking Araki forgot or something. Because evidently that's a Jojo meme of like, oh, this doesn't make sense because Araki forgot it. But there are specific instances where Gyro doesn't see stands in the manga.
Maybe I just didn't pick up on that.
And I sure didn't either until like I didn't even think that was a plot point, like an issue, until he brought it up and debunked it. And so I was like, okay, that makes sense.
It was just one thing I kind of thought of. So I was like, well, you know, they show him like the ball turns into a stand more or less a couple times, but they never say straight up he is a stand user.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, is he or isn't he? Like it's very up in the air. At least for me it was. So I was kind of like, okay, well, if he's not, then like that kind of, you know, is a plot hole. Like how
it's complicated, yeah.
how can he see these things, you know? Like that's why I was like very conflicted. But that aside though, Gyro is like the best Joe bro, period.
He is really good. I think if we went back and read part 2 though, I think it would be a lot closer with Caesar.
Yeah. Well, these are like the spiritual successors to it in a way.
Absolutely.
Like,
but I would say this is almost more of a spiritual successor to part 3, even with the name Johnny being like Jonathan, but like the journey across the country, like that's the journey to Egypt. Like
I think it actually is kind of just like a retelling of 1 through 3 because it's kind of like they have elements from all 3 of them inside it that you can see. I feel like obviously the entire plot of going across the country is like Egypt. You know, the main character is Johnny, like Jonathan. There's Dio. That's their flaw. And then part 2, it's got Caesar because he literally is named Caesar, which we find out way later.
Yes.
So, so he is it's basically like Joseph and Johnny is one.
As one, yep.
Then Caesar and also the other Zeppeli that I can't remember his name right now. From the original one.
Yeah.
Though they're kind of like, so it's basically like mashing those two together, and then we've got all these other characters.
Pants.
Yeah, Hot Pants.
I loved Hot Pants. She was great.
I just could not get over the name the whole time, but she's great.
Is so cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, okay, so let's I have like a bunch of things written down in particular.
Please.
So I guess we
need to talk
go
the
through
villain
the list.
though, because that's my big issue.
Oh yes,
the villain's my big issue.
Oh really?
I didn't like him at all.
You didn't?
No, I
loved Funny Valentine.
Hated him.
I loved him. I felt like he made a lot of sense to me in terms of like his mixture of like just pure unadulterated patriotism mixed with hypocrisy, right? So the first thing I have written down honestly is themes of patriotism and vows.
Yeah.
So like and like how that applies obviously to Funny Valentine. So I felt his whole entire like his drive made like perfect sense to me in terms of like why he would want to do this. Because like, okay, the biggest plot point that's very weird throughout Steel Ball Run is basically this corpse that you've basically is alluded but never specifically said to be Jesus the entire time.
Jesus Christ, yeah.
Jesus Christ. So they're going around the country because of like it's a race, but there's this inner like
game to it.
Secret meaning. Yeah, this inner secret meaning of the race to find Jesus, basically. Yeah. Literally speaking, to find Jesus' corpse. Yeah. And basically what Funny Valentine wants to do is he wants to, like, he's the president, the literal president of the United States, the highest, like, power you can already have.
And he's fucking jacked, too.
Okay, so he started out looking really plump and weird.
Yeah.
And then he got, like, jacked out of nowhere.
Yeah, but like, that's not the only JoJo character that's changed over time.
For
either.
sure.
Like, look at Josuke.
I kind of, like...
Look at part 4 Josuke. He changes a lot. It's like,
yeah.
I just bought into it. I didn't care about that.
I interpreted it as either A, he just, like, wanted to draw him different, or B, he just grabbed a alternative self that was more jacked through his ability. That's the two things. I was like, it's one or the other.
Yeah.
So I just went with it. But, so basically... Even though it's never, like, explicitly... Like, it is and it isn't, right? So, basically, his ideal is that what he wants to do is he wants to gain, like, the good fortune or, like, the spiritual, like, I don't know what to call it, the spiritual luck, the spiritual, like, just good vibes of Jesus, and use that to his power to, like, make moves, and, like, through, like, basically he wants to be able to be the one who, like, leads the charge for everybody. And he feels like having the literal Messiah and all that comes with it is going to allow him to do that. Because he has this whole speech. Go for it.
He'd like Jesus inside him. That's all I was going to say. Like, that's what he wants.
Yeah. He has this, basically this philosophy, right? Where if he has all the power, he did this whole speech about a napkin, which is the best way I can describe is how, like, to understand what he wants to do. Basically, like let's say you and I are sitting across from each other, right?
Yep.
And, like, there's two napkins. All right, let me rephrase this. There's three of us. There's three of us at a table in a circle, right? And there's a napkin to our left. So by that way, like, there's one to our left and our right all the way across the table. So if I were to grab the one to the right, you would therefore have to do the same because I would have taken yours. Or I might be explaining this bad, but basically, if you understand what I'm trying to say, you get it. If you don't, I'm sorry. But basically, like, you made the first move, which affected everybody else. They didn't have a choice in the matter. So his goal is to achieve, like, this ultimate power, in the sense, this ultimate, like, whatever, so that he can make the first move for everything, and either everyone in America will have to follow that, or everyone in the world will have to follow that as a result. And at the same time, though, to do that, he's willing to cause all these issues for, like, other people. Like, he basically is, like, the most patriotic person you could ever come across in his, like, because basically he wants to do this specifically for America. I guess that's what they're trying to get at. I don't know, that I guess that was one confusing point for me, is, like, he's doing this for America so that America can be basically the best it can be. He wants to do everything for his country, and I don't know if he's trying to do that so that they can be, like, the world power and the world will follow them, or if he's just trying to do it to power America, or, like, make America more powerful and more, like, as, like, the literal hammerhead of the nation even more. That was kind of confusing for me. And I also was confused in regards to the corpse, what he was trying to do in terms of, like, putting it underground, right? So, like, he made this, like, at the end, you find out he's got this, like, this thing where he can lock up the corpse, right? So it's, like, basically he's going to get the corpse, and then he's going to hide it. So I don't know if that was, like, supposed to be, like, you know, if he puts the corpse in here, then, like, all of America can just be powered by Jesus. I don't know what that was trying to say. I really don't.
You will get more explanation of that in part 8.
Oh,
there's no spoils.
That makes sense.
Like, I won't spoil anything, but you do get more of an explanation of that in part 8.
Bet. Okay, I'll leave that up as a. I'll get back to it later.
You will. That will become clear. Like, I won't defend a ton of Steel Ball Run, but that's one that, like, that does end up making sense.
Yeah, but for me, in that aspect, I don't know. I feel like Funny Valentine was very effective. There is one part of the manga where I would say it was kind of a criticism for me in terms of, like, why I can see it's not perfect. Is their entire, like, fight, you could say, the ending battle with Valentine was super drug out, in my opinion.
I thought that was the interesting part. That's what I thought was interesting.
It was, like, I loved it. It was great and interesting, but I felt it was too long, because there was, like, multiple chapters where they were just talking about, like,
shifting was so cool, I thought.
Let me say what specific part I'm talking about. Go ahead. So basically the whole entire part with the train and Lucy's, like, becoming the corpse or whatever, that whole part was super weird for me, because for a long time they're just talking about, like, hey, you need to use the horse to get this perfect circle and make the ultimate rotation. They kept saying that, like, chapter after chapter after chapter. I'm just like, okay, just fucking do it. Just do it. Just do it. I don't need to hear this over and over and over. I felt like that's, like, I was kind of like, I know that there's still, like, 25 chapters left to go. And it's like, I can see why, you know, there's still that many, if this is how it's going to be. But, like, the entire aspect of what he was trying to do during that whole fight was great. I just felt like it was too long. And then when it got to the end where he was basically defeated, that was my favorite part out of that whole thing. Where he's trying to basically, like, you know, he already killed Gyro at this point. F in the chat. And, he's basically trying to get Johnny to reverse the damage he's done, because Johnny, like, completely defeated him with this whole thing of infinite spiral
rotation.
And he's like, okay, well, you need to prove to me that you're actually a good guy and you want to do all these noble things that you're trying to do. And like, I understand like, and I understand, like, from Valentine's perspective, like, the things he's trying to do. Like, I mean, I feel like with the way he's explaining it, it seems like he has only noble intentions at the end of the day, but he's willing to do awful things to achieve said noble intentions. Like the whole thing with you know, if you try to attack him, he's going to send that attack to some other place in the world that's going through extreme hardship. And it's like, I don't know, it's just super contradicting, but I think that's what makes it super interesting for me. What didn't you like about him, I guess? Like, what particularly is, like, off-putting for Valentine? Because you said you weren't a huge fan of him.
I think that he seemed to me a little bit like a less well-developed Pucci, Father Pucci.
For me, it feels like they were taking, like, what Pucci was trying to achieve, but doing it more effectively, in a way. Because, like, Pucci's, like, entire plan seemed really, like, I get why he was doing it, and I get what he was trying to achieve, but I feel like with Valentine, it's more, like, realistic to understand his motivations. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
Yeah,
because, like, with Pucci, he's, like, he just wants to take away all hardship in the world by giving people, like, foresight into, this is going to screw me. I'm not going to do that. But he fucks up in the end, so he just resets the timeline, I guess. And then with Funny Valentine, it's like he just wants to make his country the best it can be, and therefore make everyone in the country the best they can be with this holy power. And
what you're selling me on a little bit more than when I was reading it is if this is more of a foil to Gyro than it is to Johnny. Like it's Gyro's Bizarre Adventure in this part, essentially. Yeah, and so, like, if you're gonna compare, like, Gyro to Funny Valentine and, like, the patriotism versus the confliction that Gyro feels, that I'll buy into a lot more than Johnny. But Johnny's the one who ends up defeating him.
Yeah.
So, like, that's like the issue I take a little bit. And also, like, I also just really liked Diego Brando.
We're gonna get to Diego.
I liked him a lot. So, like, I was more on board with him being, like, the big bad guy than I was Funny Valentine.
So we want to transition to Mr. Diego over here?
You want to do Diego? Yeah. But yeah, so I'm saying I'm buying in a little bit more to your explanation if I get rid of Johnny as the main character and I'm like, Gyro versus Funny Valentine is the conflict, like the driving issue of themes, at least.
Yeah. I would agree to that too. I don't know. I like Funny Valentine a lot. I'd say at this point, in terms of JoJo villains, I feel like he's my third favorite, at least because I feel like Dio, for me, is just, he's my personal favorite in this arc, or this part, I should say, just solidifies that even more.
Yeah, I really
this is like an entire different side of Dio.
I really like a new Dio. I like his stand. I liked Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap.
Oh, that was Funny Valentine. No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm going back to Valentine a little bit before we fully go to Dio. And so, like, I like that design. I think his stand power, that's where I was like, that's kind of convoluted and, like, Pucci and, like, yeah, I guess. And it's like, I don't know. It seems like it's kind of teasing back to part 6 a little bit of, like, maybe we could get our heroes we really love back, but nope, they don't do that. And it's like, I don't want them to do that. I don't want that to even be teased. Like, I want this to be a full new time of JoJo's until, like, if Araki wants to bring everyone back, then he does that. I just don't want that to, like, take over someone else's part. Like, and I do think the Western theme of Steel Ball Run, I really like that. And I really like a lot of the stands, I think, are pretty unique. I think they kind of rival Part 5 stands in a way. Part 5 is where I'd say, like, the best stands are, but Part 7 has some good ones.
I feel like this was, like, like you said, it's most comparable to Part 5. And I feel like it was a big step up for me compared to Part 6, because, like we've talked about before, Part 6 has some stupid ridiculous stands.
Yes.
Stupid ridiculous. And this one, they brought it back more down to earth with, like, some simple ones, some that are a little more convoluted, but they still make plenty of sense, and they're not, like, outrageous. They're things they're just basically improving on things we've seen before, or showing a different way to do it, more or less.
Yeah, and I really like the rotation concept. Like, I feel like that's kind of a sticking point for some people in this part, is they're like, well, why even bring the rotation but have stands? Like, it's not Haman, like, what is happening? But, like...
Well, Haman sucked.
Haman did suck, and, like, and the rotation's cool, because Gyro does it, and Gyro's cool. Like... And the reason behind it is really cool. Like, of it being used for fucking executions. Yeah, like, that's badass. And the fact that he just fucking pelts people with balls, like, fucking whips them at him. One grows an eye. Like, Gyro is, like, the fact that now I'm, like, viewing it as Gyro's story, I like it a lot more.
Yeah, I don't feel like it was John. Like, obviously,
No.
Johnny was there, and he had his
And
moments.
he's
He had
the
his arcs, but
like the titular Jojo, and like the ending, and never mind. The ending and like part 8, because I'm not gonna say he comes back because he doesn't really, but like part 8, like to continue the Joestar bloodline, like they have to talk about him a little bit. So
yeah. So I guess for the stands in particular, a lot of them were great. There was some that I liked a lot more than others.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the idea that like it's super like because obviously JoJo's has always been off the walls with everything. So the fact that like there's literal Jesus Christ just laying around giving people stands, I think is super interesting.
Yeah, you just have to accept it.
It's because it's like, oh, well, before it's this magic arrow, but now it's like, it's
Now it's
literally
Jesus.
the Son of God who is giving people stands. I feel like that's like so ridiculous, but it makes sense. It makes sense
And now
for what JoJo's is.
I really want to point out the fucking Lucky guy. That was badass.
Oh,
He is my
I
favorite.
love Poco Loco.
He is
I love
so
Poco
good.
Loco. I was hoping they would have done a little more with him here and there, but like just the fact that he just like no matter what happens, I'm good. I thought that was so cool.
No matter
his
what.
stands just hanging out,
He'd
just
go
making
anywhere.
him lucky.
You'd see Johnny like really considering how he's gonna proceed in like the ice area. But
Yeah,
Logan
and he
just
just
fucking
goes.
books it, and it's good.
And he's he's gonna be fine.
Yeah,
It's great.
He's
I was
awesome.
I was so worried he was just gonna go away at some point. I was like, oh no, not Poco Loco, please. But he made it. He's good. He's all good. And that one was one of my favorites too. But I guess since you touched on Funny Valentines in particular,
Sure.
I liked how it started out. The
Yeah.
whole entire like multi-dimension grabbing thing, I thought was very interesting. But when it came to like the I just cannot be hurt aspect with like the glowing shit,
Yes.
and like, oh yeah, your attack, I'm gonna
and
send
you-
it to this other place.
And you have to like ass pull your way out of that, which is what they did.
Yeah. Oh
But-
yeah.
But the cool
Through
part,
infinity and lack of gravity.
absolutely. But the cool part was like when they were killing Johnny or whatever, like fake whatever happened, but where like the flag was covering who really did it, and everyone had their own viewpoints. That
was so
was
cool.
super cool. Absolutely.
And even in the beginning, like when Lucy stabbed him in the neck, and you're just like those
what?
panels happen so weirdly, and you're just like, what? I don't get it. What's going on? Like,
and
he's under the chair, and like, he's what? What is this?
I want to make a shout out for Hot Pants for the female
Hot
characters in
Pants.
this JoJo part were really good. I thought.
Yeah.
I felt.
It was all. I liked that they Araki also stayed with like the time period too. Even though like it sucks, women discrimination, but the fact that they can overcome that and like show how they finagle
like
around
Lucy
it.
was so cool.
Oh,
and
like
Hot
I would have
Pants
never
was
rooted for like a
badass.
14-year-old. Like, amazing.
Yeah, and like and the president's wife. I don't remember her
Oh my
name,
God.
but she was fucking
I don't think they ever
horny
said
as
it.
shit.
Oh, it's Scarlet. Scarlet
was horny for fucking Lucy
Yeah.
like no other.
just scream my name.
Yeah,
Oh, it's like, oh God,
I want
Jesus.
you to sit on my face.
Yeah,
She says that.
suffocate me. It's like, bro, and like the fact, like I don't know, Lucy, like it takes a lot of willpower as a 14-year-old to do a lot of the things she had to do.
Lucy was a strong
Respect.
character. She's on that
Respect.
like. I think I like her better than Trish, who is my other. Or
100%.
I like her better than Trish, and I like her better than the fucking hair girl from Part 4 too.
Yeah. Yep.
She's not as good as Jolene, but
Nope.
but like you're
Jolene's
not
still
going to get
best
better
girl.
than Jolene, I don't think.
For sure. So I guess moving on to were there any other villain characters you liked out of all of them? Obviously,
The one
we're going to talk about Diego, and obviously we
we are
talked
going
about
to talk
Funny
about
Valentine.
Diego. And the one the really noteworthy one was the guy who like erased half of them, or they
Yes.
couldn't see half of them. That was super cool. And he was from
he had a weird name.
He was from Gyro's country.
I liked him a lot, and I also liked Ringo, if you remember Ringo.
Ringo, what was his stand power?
He was the one that had the watch that he could like dial back 6
Oh
seconds.
yeah, that was
in the
super
forest.
cool.
I just thought he was like, he had such a cool design, and he was also just like, I liked his whole like
And it was like a standoff, like a Western standoff.
Yeah, he's basically just like, hey, if you want to get out of here, you're gonna have to kill me.
Do it.
You have to do it, and like this is how I'm going to evolve as a person by fighting people to the death.
Yes.
Like I thought that was super unique for a minor villain.
Yeah.
And obviously, like we've seen the whole time thing before, but the fact that it was just applied on a smaller scale and to somebody with those ideals, I thought it was super cool. Underrated, in my opinion, for a minor villain.
Yeah.
That usually doesn't happen in JoJo's.
Yeah.
He was the only other one I wrote down.
I like
talked a lot about
Sandman. Apparently,
yeah, dude.
Apparently, his name is different in the he's supposed to have the same name both times. This is also from Haman Beat video. His name in Japanese is supposed to be so close together that like that's why it gets messed up. But in the manga, in the English translation, it's Soundman and Sandman, which aren't like necessarily that close. They're kind of, but not really. Whereas in Japanese, it's supposed to be like Sandamandu and Sandamandu, like, and just very, very minor difference. So like they didn't necessarily get that in translation, but
I liked him a lot, but I'm sad the direction he was taking.
They could. That's another one that could have had so much more done with his character.
Yeah, because he was like the introduction to the story, so I was kind of like, oh, he's gonna play a big role.
Yeah, he's badass.
Like, oh, he just wants money. He's gonna die.
And then he fucking has like horse limbs for his legs.
Yeah,
they're fucking strong. And I also wanted to see
nuts.
Nellyville. We never did, but I saw that name and I'm like, that's gonna be funny. Never showed up.
Oh, that's I guess one thing we can touch on very quickly: the references to the other parts.
They were okay.
The whole thing. Like, I like some of them.
Oh, the references to the other parts. I thought you meant musical references. My bad.
No, like to the other. Yeah. No, the stand names in this one I wasn't a fan of compared to part 6 at all. But like, like the references to other parts, like in the beginning, like you have Avdol coming up. You have like one Japanese guy has Josuke's last name.
Higashikata.
Yep. There's just all these different like little hints to other parts throughout the entire thing that I thought was super well done.
That's so cool.
Okay, let me scroll down.
And you're gonna, like a lot of. I wish you would have read part 8. Obviously, there's no way that was gonna happen because that's, I think, the longest JoJo part or one of them already. So like, and it's not done. So, but like,
I'm excited for it.
A lot of the points you're bringing up, I think, are really expanded upon in part 8.
That makes me happy actually. And then there's also the auras. Ora! When they're throwing the balls and there's
Yara Yara Daze.
Yeah, Yoda. I laughed out loud when he did that because you just see the guy, like, I don't know if it's just the way the panel was positioned. Dude, he just looks so upset and the guy's just above him.
The art in this part was really well done. You can really see Araki's growth, I think, in this part.
The color was so good, too.
Yes, the coloring is incredible, but I think the next part has my favorite Araki art.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's so good. And I think...
did you appreciate Oingo Boingo, by the way?
Yes!
The reference to them?
Yes. It was
we never got to see him,
Zenyatta Mondata. I think,
but
whatever their English names were. Yep.
Yeah, I just thought that was really funny.
And I think
I was waiting for him.
I need to give a special moment to the 2 chapters of just Gyro and Johnny fucking hanging out. And
for sure.
And Gyro singing the hit song Pizza Mozzarella.
Oh, Ella.
Oh. And then he goes, the second verse is the same thing, but it's with Gorgonzola. Johnny's like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. Like,
I loved those moments.
That's
so also
funny.
why I liked part 3 so much and why it's still my favorite, because they have the little character moments in between. That's an underappreciated thing.
It is.
Like, even just with One Piece, I wish they would do that more often with them.
Me too.
Just to have moments of just the crew hanging out.
Yes.
Like, they used to do it before, and they don't do it anymore, and I wish they would. But I appreciate those moments in this
the
part.
The Days of the
sure.
Week one was so funny.
He just forgets the whole thing.
So funny.
And then Johnny's over there like, he just writes it down.
What are you talking about?
Well, like, no, like, Johnny's, like, staring at him, and all of a sudden you see him pull out a notepad and just write it down because he's so impressed.
This is so funny.
I love that about them. Yeah, he's just such a hype man.
Those 2 are such a dynamic duo. Like, it's hard to not like those 2. And that's what
honestly,
saves part 7 for me.
I can only wonder what it would be like with Joseph Joestar and then Gyro Zeppelin.
And Gyro,
together.
that would be incredible.
Would be the bee's knees.
Oh,
I would be amazed at their dynamic. But, okay, so like moving past the references.
Okay, yep.
What did you think about the overall plot in terms of like the race, what happens within the race, and where it ends up? Like, what was your overall takeaway? Like, did you like it? Did you not like it?
I like the idea behind it. I think there was some like missed potential.
Oh, yeah, me too.
I think that like I really like the race concept. I think that's super interesting. But they just kind of get rid of it halfway through.
Yeah, that's my biggest criticism too.
They're just like, never mind. The race doesn't matter.
Yeah, because it's like, so in the beginning, like the first leg of the race, when it begins.
Like the first arc is this first leg of the race.
When it first begins and like they're just all running through it, you meet Diego, you meet Poco Loco, and Johnny's trying to keep up with Gyro.
Yep.
That whole like arc right there is amazing.
Incredible.
I was never so invested in horse racing in my life.
Yes, absolutely.
And like they keep very like they make sure to stick with it for a while in terms of like, okay, well, you know, people are watching from air balloons. We're keeping an eye on people. This is a long thing, yada, yada, yada. But at a certain point, like, they just disregard all that, and it's just all about stand fights.
It's exclusively about stand fights and Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and like I wish they would have stuck more around lines of with like, oh, we still need to make sure we're on track with the race. You know, the balloons are coming by, they might see us, we could get disqualified.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we're literally
they just
fighting
totally
and
get rid
people.
of that.
That's what I didn't like.
And
I
there's
wish
not
they would
even
have
that many
focused
people
more.
left for the balloons to follow. Like
I wish they would have stuck more on the fact that like we still need to finish this race,
and I think,
regardless.
Again, like that would have made it more of a mystery than a Western, I think, if they had to be like sneaky and stealthy. Yeah. And that's
like,
that's what Part 8 does, is more sneaky and stealthy.
Okay, because like the thing is, even with like in general, westerns aren't really my favorite genre.
No,
like, I can appreciate them
absolutely
a
not.
lot,
Yeah.
but like the fact that a Western JoJo was able to like really solidify as one of my all-time favorites now is bamboozling for me. It transcends my normal genre likings and dislikings. So I'm glad we see the same way.
Yeah, I think the race could have been better, like implemented, and like they talk about how dangerous and inhumane it is, and like the protests and like stuff like that. I feel like that could have been a really interesting added layer to Funny Valentine.
Yeah. Like it
and I think if it was written right now, I think that would have been a bigger focus.
Yeah, because like that was the most interesting part about it. It's like, okay, well, this is like a literal cross-country race, and it's
deathmatch
deathmatch with horses.
That
it's
people
such a cool
are
concept.
dying. Yes,
and it starts out so good, but they miss the mark in the middle. I have the same feeling about that.
I agree.
And then the whole Jesus Christ thing, like at first I was like, I don't know about this. Like this seems a little I don't know. I'm not buying it. But then eventually I'm like, okay, I get it. Get it.
You just accept it.
You accept it.
Yep.
So
it's JoJo's. You just accept that part. So now, are we on to Diego?
Let's talk about Diego.
So
the
you go.
goat.
You start this one.
Okay, I will start this one. So Dio, my favorite villain.
Yeah.
And this solidifies it more because this basically takes Dio, right? Like, so think of him as he was before. He was the main villain, the driving force of all things.
Part 3 Dio.
Yeah, and now he is more just like a rival character / like the anti-hero at the end of the day, because he's not like the enemy for a lot, like the majority of it.
He's
like
even a friend at some points.
Yeah, like he has the same goals as our main characters.
Yeah, he is the anti-hero. That's a really good way to put him instead of a villain.
And it shows him in a very different light, because like he's not like, obviously him and Jonathan still have like their ties from childhood.
Yeah,
they do touch upon that, so like that aspect is still there. But it's not like he's trying to ruin Jonathan's life the whole time. It's more just like they both want this corpse for their own unique reasons.
Yes, I think like the most like significant upgrade from like part 1 Dio Jonathan to this is like you kind of touched on this, like Diego isn't just a dick from the outset. Like, he's not just coming in like, I hate Jonathan, let me fucking kick your dog, you fucking idiot. Like, he doesn't come in just out of nowhere. They give him some character development, like why he's the way he is, and like the backstory to them and why they don't like each other is believable. Like, I buy into it.
And that's another thing too, because in the old parts, Dio was like the direct reason for Jonathan's family and his whole life kind of like falling apart and being surrounded by Dio. Like, it's Dio's fault. Yeah. Whereas in this one, Johnny is like conflicted because like, he feels like he caused everything that went wrong.
Family is the reason he sucks.
He feels like he killed his brother. He feels like he's the reason his father hates him.
Oh my god,
but, like, I don't. It's one of those weird things where like, I've thought about this a lot when it comes to like, you know, who is to blame when something goes wrong. And it's kind of like, you can just tie it back to so many different things. Like, it can be like literally just yourself for waking up and doing what you did that day. It could be the person who originally suggested you go do this thing. Like, you could blame Johnny's father for making him drown the mouse in the first place. You could have just told him to bring it back to his room. None of this would have happened. So like, is Johnny's father in the wrong for blaming his son? Definitely. But that doesn't really correlate with Dio, because he doesn't affect it that way.
Yes, and I think with regards to this, before we like flesh out Dio, I think Johnny's like his backstory in this one is so much more interesting than part 1.
Oh, for
like
a
unbelievably
fact.
More interesting.
For a fact.
And that's like it just really shows Araki's strength, and it makes me understand a lot more why he like reset the universe. Like this part. And it's not my favorite part. It's probably not even in my top 3 favorite parts. But I have a lot of respect for it. And I think that, like, Johnny is a very good, very well-written protagonist with, like, meaningful backgrounds, even though Gyro steals the show. Like, for sure.
Johnny's still, like, super unique. Like, the other JoJo's, like, kind of carried their part most of the time.
Yeah.
But in this case, Johnny is, like, he's the side character.
He is the side character.
Like you said, he's a lot
Koichi.
like Josuke.
He's Koichi. Like, he's not... No, actually, Gyro's Koichi. Never mind.
He's more like
Josuke,
but he's not like the main focus the majority of the time.
No,
like, it is the Gyro show featuring Johnny Joestar, but like he still brings so much to the table as his own unique character it's what I really appreciate about him.
Mm-hmm. So Diego.
So I wasn't too super sold on his dinosaur stand at first.
His dinosaur stand isn't that interesting.
So okay, I'm just gonna get right to a spoiler right here.
I mean,
so
we already gave a spoiler warning, but this is like big spoilers for this part.
I literally started I got so hyped and had a big dumb smirk on my face
when you see
the moment
the world.
I was like, oh my god, no way!
It fucking is.
I was so pumped. You have no clue.
So cool.
I was so pumped.
It was.
I'm glad I never had that spoiled for me because I would. I'd been waiting for that the whole time, just to be like, oh, what dinosaurs, what? But no, that, oh my god.
Yeah.
That was the coolest thing ever. And like...
Johnny just wrecks him.
But like, I love how like they brought it back to like, you know, from... Okay, I guess this leads to another question.
Okay.
I guess. Okay, real quick. So, obviously, it's very... I feel like, I don't know if this is like a big topic or not. I'm sure it is. But it's... I would say... Is this or is it not one of the alternate timelines created by Pucci, right? Is it or is it not? Like, I'm confused. Because obviously, Funny Valentine calls this the base world, right?
Yeah.
And then there's all these alternate timelines he can go to.
Yes.
So does that mean everything that happened before is just an alternate timeline to this one?
So,
or is this like the resetting of the universe changing things? That's where I'm like, are they connected at all? Or is this just Araki going, yeah, they're not related, but they are, but they're not?
I don't think they are related. I think... this was also in Haman Beats Part 7 video that you should probably watch, and you'll be a lot more educated than I am, because he thinks about this stuff a lot more than I did. But I'm pretty confident he says this is like its own unrelated universe.
That's kind of what I figured.
Yeah, I don't think they're related.
I appreciate that he's bringing ties back to the original series, because
There's
bringing
all
the world back,
stuff,
though.
and the world,
Like,
and I still would be shocked if they don't bring back our beloved JoJo's from the past in some way.
Because, like, I was already super on board with Diego during his whole, like, fight against Valentine.
Yeah,
like, putting him in the hero role, more or less. And then, you know, then he dies. But, like, they bring the alternate version of Diego that has more similarities to the old one in terms of the world. The stand. The legend. He did the thing with the knives, like... it was just a complete throwback.
Diego's design more than I like Dio's design.
I would say that, too. I would say, like, Dio's design is kind of, like, weird at a certain point. But I liked his, like, normal horse racing attire, more or less. I don't know, it was cool.
Yeah, his fucking hat and, like, his name. I also like Johnny's design quite a bit with the upside down horseshoe. Like, that's bad luck, isn't it?
Honestly, the character designs in this were pretty top tier.
Pretty good.
Even Gyro, like, he was super unique in terms of, like,
Gyro
his fucking grill.
is my favorite design.
He's got the
probably
slotted
favorite
hat.
design JoJo character, period. Like, he is
for sure.
that cool.
Yep.
It's fucking
I was
grill.
so
That's his name.
He just walks up and smiles. And his dumb laugh the whole time. Yo. That's just how I pictured it. Yo.
Like, it says, on Monday I was like this. And you just picture at the end, like, when Johnny writes down, he's like, fuck yeah, I'm funny.
Yeah.
Like...
But, like, the whole time, though, I was kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I like this Dio more. Like, I appreciate that he's here, and I appreciate that he's doing things.
Yeah.
He has ties to the other guys. But I felt like he was kind of overshadowed for a long time. And then once he was put into that hero role with Hot Pants, or the anti-hero role, whatever you want to call it.
That was super cool.
That's where I was like, all right, I like this Dio.
Fuck
I like
yeah.
him. I might even like him more than the other one in his own way. Like, they're different, but they're still
super
Dio.
different, but yeah.
And then, they just brought it together. They took, like, the really good aspects of Diego that, like, transcend the original Dio, and they give him the Dio stand. It was like the perfect icing on the cake for me for this arc. And then they also what's it called? To kill him, they blow his head off. Whereas in, like, the original part 1, his head was all that was left over. So I was like, I see what you did there.
Yep. And then at the end, I liked the very last panel, and I think I liked it a lot because I read part 8 like right afterwards. And it's like Johnny going to Japan.
Oh, he went to Japan? I thought he went to wherever Gyro's
Oh yeah,
family
he's going.
was.
Okay, I think
Well,
you're
you
right.
mean where he looks at the ball and he says, "Let's go home"? That one?
Yeah, I think you're right
panel?
because he does. Well, okay, he ends up in Japan. I don't know if that's where he intends to go, but he ends up in Japan.
He's there eventually.
And so that's where part 8 is. Part 8's in Moria, so like that's not a spoiler.
Oh, cool.
That's where it is, and like man, the callbacks in part 8 are really, really cool. You'll get them, and
I'm excited.
I think you'll like part 8 a lot. There's a lot to dislike about it, especially right now going on, but there's a lot in the beginning and like the twists and turns it takes that are really interesting and really like rewarding for people who have seen all of JoJo's or read or whatever.
Yeah, overall though, I feel like that's the majority of what I want to talk about with it. I'm not sure if there's any other points you want to
I think I'd put it with part 2, and I'd say part 4 is still my favorite, part 3 below that, and then part 2 and part 7 would be like that third tier.
Okay. I would say part 3 is still my favorite. I would say that this one has become my new second favorite above part 4 though.
Yeah.
Not by like a lot, but I would probably rate part 7 a 9 out of 10. I feel like the issues I have with it are obviously there because a lot of people like say like, oh, this is the perfect
the
part.
best steel ball run,
and
the best
there are so many things to love about it, but there's also like things to criticize, and I feel like almost every JoJo part has that for sure. I'm not even gonna say almost, they all do.
I think every piece of media, even if you rate it a 10 out of 10, there are a lot of issues with them.
Yeah,
like
I just feel like
there are issues with 10 out of 10 pieces of art.
Oh yeah, I just think for me, like, this hit a lot of what I would want it to, considering the genre it was going for, the characters, everything that, like, is previously established in JoJo's, bringing those things, those elements back into it. I feel like overall I enjoyed it a lot more than I expected to. Because, like, for a while there, like, I'm like, okay, you know, the race is starting to become, like, a sideshow at this point. You know, there's just guy after guy. But once it transitioned to that final aspect, you know, you get more of what Funny Valentine's doing. You get his whole thing. Diego gets his time to shine. It's where it all came home for me. Because obviously we've talked before about how endings are pretty important these days.
Yes, they are.
And this ending, I feel like, stuck the landing for me in terms of, like, what I would want to happen.
Interesting.
Considering what happened before.
Yeah,
like, obviously.
Yes, okay, I can agree with that for sure.
Because I was very satisfied with how it ended. Obviously, you know, it's bittersweet in a lot of ways. But with what they set up and how they finish it off, I'm content. And
that's one thing that I can say this probably has over Part 4 is the ending itself. Part 4's ending isn't as rewarding, in my opinion. But I would say Kira is a way better villain than Funny Valentine.
I like Funny Valentine probably about the same as Kira, I think.
Kira's my favorite
I think they're pretty,
villain.
like... I don't know if I could pick
JoJo.
one over the other. I feel like they're both very different, but there's things to appreciate about both and also criticize about both, for me.
Yeah, that's fair. I think...
And then Dio's just a meme.
Yeah,
so.
and I think Dio, like, adding on to that, like, that's a little bit different, but I think, like, Kira's villain nature is more believable to me and more, like, realistic than Funny Valentine's is.
Well, I mean, you gotta also think of it like this, too, with the whole thing of patriotism, right? Like, just think of it as, just... I don't know, like, I've never really understood patriotism to that level, but he sold it in a way that was very believable for me, like, how I could see it from that aspect. Like, if you're, like... You are just die hard all about your country and making it the best it can be, and therefore giving everything back to the citizens of said country, yada, yada, yada. It's like, okay, you sold it to me in terms of how you want to do that and why you're doing it because of the past experience you've obviously had and how it affected you so much in your life.
Sure.
So that's something that obviously I've never experienced, nor do I necessarily agree with it.
I don't think you ever
having
will.
Having it told to me like that makes me be like, okay, this is the villain of patriotism. Like, this is how, like,
patriotism can go too far.
Yeah, like, that foreign concept to me is believable and effective. So, like, for me, that's how that is. Where Kira's more just evil in terms of, like, his own,
be
like,
careful
fulfillment.
What you say here. Kind of.
Like, it's more like, you know, obviously he just wants to be left alone.
Sure. And
but he also wants to fulfill his own, like, selfish, perverted.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know if I'd say perverted, but yeah, it's perverted. Perverted
his
desires.
hand fetish. Like, he's obsessed with hands.
So like,
And
he's like, they're different. They're very different. Like one's an ideal, and the other is like personal satisfaction.
Sure, absolutely,
at an extreme
they are
level
different
for both.
And I think like where you and the like Western genre and the whole like atmosphere of Part 7 like really hit home for you with the themes and like the patriotism of Funny Valentine. I think that's where like the quiet town of Morio and like Kira wanting to live quietly in this town, like this very small town. That's where that hit home for me, and where I think his like beliefs are very like thematically appropriate to Part 4. In the similar way, do you think Funny Valentine's is Part 7?
Yeah, I could agree with that for sure. Yeah, overall though, I was very impressed. I obviously there were high expectations going in, and I'm glad that a lot of them were met. I still would disagree with anyone who says it's 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've also learned that everyone looks for different things in whatever they read / watch, so...
Yeah, I'm
not going to say they're wrong.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm not going to be the one getting mad, because I think people are going to be more mad that you like Part 3 more than it.
Dude, I know. People have a hate boner for Part 3, and I don't
They
get
do
it,
have a hate boner for Part 3, but I think they're going to be more mad at that than they would be for me saying Part 4 I like more, but...
I mean, I'd obviously be willing to agree for sure that when it comes to like comparing Part 3 to Part 7 is a much more mature story by far.
Absolutely.
In even so many different ways. And
even in Part 6, like, it's more mature.
Oh, for sure. And like everything that they built upon in the previous parts is definitely like improved here. I would say it's more like
it's a love letter.
It's more
to
like
the
personal.
Parts of it.
What?
It's like a love letter to the beginning parts of JoJo.
Yeah, exactly. And compared to the other parts, I think a lot of it is just like I don't even want to say nostalgia, because like all this is super new for me, so I'm not going to say like I'm nostalgic for Part 3. It's more like I just fell in love with those characters. That's where I was like, all right, JoJo's is for me. You know, the other parts I'm like, okay, I get it, but I don't.
Part 2 I did. Part 2's where
like, I loved Part 2, but I still wasn't super on board until Part 3. Part 3 is where like, okay, I am all about this.
Joseph
I can
and
appreciate
Caesar,
the other parts
I think
more.
you need to rewatch Part 2, really. Like,
yeah, I probably should.
I think you really do, because Joseph is such a cool young MC. Like,
well, he's my favorite JoJo, so like I was on board for that.
Yeah,
I just hated this Temple Ben, the Temple Pillar Men, sorry.
They suck. Yeah, they're not great.
I hated them.
They're whatever. So yeah, JoJo's, but like as our conclusion, every part of JoJo's is good. There's not a part that's bad.
Not even Part 1 that everyone
not even Part 1.
They say it's the worst,
Everyone
and
hates
I would agree.
Part 1.
I would agree it's the worst, but it still has its value.
Yeah.
It still like has good aspects to it. It's just the worst of the bunch.
I think it's the hardest one to get through on a first watch. I think if we went back and rewatched it, we would like it more than we did on the first watch through.
I would still be pretty pissed about like the Queen's Guard people. I didn't like that at all, but you can always skip that episode.
Oh my god. Okay.
I loved it though. I'm excited for Part 8. We'll definitely talk about that in a future podcast.
I would be really surprised if you don't at least have appreciation for Part 8 and how it's grown from the rest of them.
I feel like as a follow-up to Part 7, I feel like everything that's established in Part 7 now, in terms of expectations, I feel like it would be hard for Araki to just, shit
go back and just suck. Yeah, go backwards would be awful.
I would be surprised. Like, I'm obviously not going to say, like, oh, well, I expect it to be better than Part 7
better be a 10 out of 10 or I'm fucking pissed.
I just expect it to be, obviously, now I know what to expect from JoJo, so I'm hoping that, like, at this point, that there's obviously going to be plenty of things I like, and if I can find those things, I'm good. Doesn't matter if I'm like, oh, well, that's the worst, but...
Yeah, I don't think there's anything that's going to top pizza mozzarella, though, or the fucking Days of the Week joke. Those are so good. Anyways,
even that really stupid one where he's like, he just takes his hand and he turns it into a little, like, okay sign. And he's, like, super happy about it. And Johnny's like, wow, that's actually really funny. Like, it gets funnier the more I think about it. And I'm like, what? What? Excuse me? It's just so dumb. Like, those little moments.
I think he's being sarcastic about that, though. Because Johnny is kind of a snarky character. And so I think he's being sarcastic about that, but it's just... Because Gyro takes it so seriously and is so happy. Like, they're so good. They're such a good duo.
They're the best.
All right.
Yep. Steel Ball Run.
Give me the mad quotes, please.
Okay. Well, since we were talking about JoJo's today, I got some good JoJo quotes.
Oh, I figured you were going to do that, but...
I got one for each part.
Oh, sweet.
But you got to guess the character. That said it.
Easy, okay.
And I'm not going to tell you what part it's from.
Okay, cool. Great.
All right, so I'm gonna go in order from hardest, or I'm sorry, no, from least hardest to most hardest.
So least hardest is usually easy, but
easiest to hardest is what's going to go here.
Okay, cool.
So the first quote, "This is the taste of a liar."
That's Kakyoin from part 3.
Wrong.
What?
It's Bushiroad.
It fucking is! Oh my god, I knew that!
He licks the sweat, you ding-darn fake fan. Get out of here.
I didn't know that. I thought it was Kakyoin. I'm stupid.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's not a bad guess.
Yeah, he licks the fucking cherry, yeah.
Okay, anyways.
Next
all right,
quote.
number 2!
Wait, so you don't have a part 8 quote, I imagine?
No, it's
Cool.
1 through 7.
Great.
1 through 7, boom.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so obviously that was part 5, checked off the list.
All right. Easy.
All right, number 2. I don't know. How many loaves of bread have you eaten in your life?
That's part 4, I think.
Well, I need the character. Not
I know
the
you
part.
do. I know. I think because I think it's fucking oh my god, Shigechi, the stupid little like harvest guy. Is it him from part 4?
Is that your guess?
Yeah.
It's not. It's from part 1.
What?
And this is in relation to Dio eating people as a vampire. When they say, "How
What?
many people have you killed?" And he says, "I don't know. How many loaves of bread have you eaten in your life?"
Oh, I would have never gotten that. So Dio says that?
Dio.
I would
Dio
have
says that.
never have gotten that. I thought that was them eating getting the sandwich that Kira
Nope.
blows up or whatever.
He's eating people
Great.
as a
Anyways,
vampire.
cool.
All right. Number 3. I'm gonna fix that spaghetti.
What? Okay. So this, I mean, if I didn't know part 5 was already gone, I would probably think part 5. But I know in part 4 there's also the Antonio's thing. So I think it's going to be Antonio from part 4.
It's Josuke from part 4.
What? Oh my god. But
Get
it's
it? Because
it's there,
Crazy
isn't it?
Diamond fixes stuff. He's gonna fix the spaghetti.
But it's in Antonio's place, so I wasn't.
It was, but
I wasn't far off.
He didn't
wasn't,
say it.
You're right. I
mean, that's the
quote
closest
game.
you've been. So
The
I'll
quote
give
game
you
sucks poop.
I'll give you a high 5 for being close, but you're not getting any points. Sorry.
Why did I ever come up with the quote game? It sucks.
Hey, quick quizzical quotes. Jojo edition. That's what this is.
Great.
Glad you're having such a good
Awful.
time. Okay, well now, here we go. An organism that can have sex with anything it encounters? I'm kind of jealous.
So, that screams Polnareff to me. That's who that screams. But I think it could be part 6. I feel like it could be Foo Fighters, maybe. 2. I'm gonna say it's Polnareff.
It is Jolene
Oh.
Joestar. Or Cujo, sorry. Jolene Cujo. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, you freaking jerk.
It's from part 6.
Alright, I was trying to
Not Polnareff.
not look at the chat.
Oh, did they say it was Jolene?
Yeah, they did. I could
They
have
did.
cheated, but
You guys pranking me.
I
Okay.
just went with my gut, so I didn't cheat.
Okay. Well, we have 3 more to go.
Okay.
So now,
it's 3, 7,
we
and 2,
have-
I think.
What did you say? Depending on your answer, I may have to kick your ass.
I don't think that's part 7. I would be pretty surprised if it's part 7. So I'm gonna say that is. I think that's Jotaro from part 3.
Well, it is Joseph Joestar from part 2.
Oh, I'm so mad. I love Joseph. I could. Oh, whatever. I'm so mad about that one. That's the one I'm most mad about, I think. No, never mind. The spaghetti one I'm pretty pissed about. So, actually, I'm gonna fix it. I shouldn't know. Whatever.
Oh, I didn't realize the
Part 4's
Dio
my
one would be
favorite.
so hard with the bread. I thought that would be a giveaway.
I
Honestly.
I haven't seen part 1 in so long.
I mean, you're right. You're right. Okay.
Great.
All right. Here we go. Listen, blank. I am the nicest man in the world. I might lie to a woman, but I would never hit them. It doesn't matter how ugly they are, because I respect women.
What? That's not a real quote.
It is, I promise you. I will read the quote with a name after I'm done.
God.
I guarantee it's real. I promise.
Oh
I
my God.
promise. I promise.
So I've got 2. So I've got 3 and 7 left. I don't think it's 7. So it's someone in 3. Did you pick Oink? Is it Oingo Boingo? Is it one of those 2?
Would you like to guess one?
Can I pick? I have to pick a specific one. Cool. I'm gonna say it's Oingo then.
Well, I mean, you do have part 3 correct.
Okay,
And
good.
this quote is in reference to Boingo, but
I'm so
Whole
mad.
Horse says it. Whole Horse says it.
I forgot
He
Whole
says,
Horse existed.
Listen, Boingo, I am the nicest man in the world. I might lie to a woman, but I would never hit them. It doesn't matter how ugly they are because I respect women.
You could have
Thanks,
said
Whole
Boingo,
Horse.
and I still wouldn't have gotten Whole Horse. I would have guessed Boingo again.
Yeah. But yeah, he said it in reference
Right.
to Boingo.
All right, so I gotta really hope I know part 7 then.
Oh, okay, here it is. Excuse me, let me pass.
What? I hate you so much. This is awful. You find... Yeah? Okay, great, cool. Fucking... I thought I could for sure get 1. Don't think I can anymore. Excuse me, let me pass? Cool.
I'm just waiting for your answer.
Is it Johnny?
Nope, it's Gyro. You
Cool.
fucking prick. This is the joke that he made with his hands, where he says, "Excuse me, let me pass," and then he's just holding the okay sign. It's I even put in parentheses his dumb joke.
Cool. Great.
Yup, you suck.
I know
eggs.
nothing about JoJo's, evidently.
You know, I actually wanted to use a different quote for part 7, but I thought it'd be too easy.
What
It's
were
the
you
one
gonna
where they first meet Hot Pants,
Uh-huh.
and Gyro's like, "Hey Johnny, tell him to fall off his horse." And and Johnny's like, "No, you do it." And then he just turns over to her. "Hey, fall off your horse, asshole."
You should have
he
said...
he actually does it.
You should have said, yeah, whatever, stupid.
Yeah. I mean, that would have been a giveaway. A dead giveaway.
I think
Just
I wouldn't have been
breathing
confident about just screaming at their face.
Honestly, that whole time, because like I remember like what the reference picture looked
The
like,
panel,
and I
yeah.
thought in the beginning when Poco Loco starts going,
Uh-huh.
he's like showing how lucky he is, and he like goes past some girl, and then like her cleavage falls out or whatever,
Uh-huh,
and
yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, "Oh yeah!" But I was expecting that girl to be the one he yells at and come back later because they
Yeah.
looked similar, but it wasn't.
No,
So
nope.
yep.
Just screams
Thanks,
at her.
Gyro.
Gyro rocks. So I got 0. All right, I'll remember
Yeah,
this for the
that
next.
was the worst you've ever done.
Absolutely.
You had so much, like, I used a lot of main characters, too.
Yeah,
Whole
you
Horse
did.
is, like, the exception.
Whole Horse out there. Like, he's pretty.
I mean,
like,
I don't know. I was looking up, like, quotes, and I came across that, and I was like, that's great.
That's a good quote. Like, you picked a good
like,
one.
what a simp.
And I
What
would
a
say I
simp.
got pretty close by guessing Oingo, too.
I mean, yeah, it was in reference to the Boingo, so you were somewhat
was
close,
fairly
but
close,
you also
but-
weren't.
I can't
Yikes.
believe I didn't get fucking Josuke. I'm so mad about that one. That one I'm extra
Fix
mad
that
about.
spaghetti.
I knew the fucking episode and place it was, too. Like, I know where it is. I just was too stupid to think about fixing in Josuke's stand.
Oh, thanks, Josuke.
Awesome. Well, you know what? Thanks, everyone, for watching this episode of the podcast. It has been a fun time, and it's been very long.
Yeah, this was the longest episode and probably one of the longest episodes we'll ever do.
Absolutely. Thanks, JoJo's.
Yep.
So,
I guess part 8 will 5-hour talk. Let's go.
yeah,
Alright,
so
anyways,
great. So, if you want to follow us, we're on Twitter at Sushi Podcast. We're on twitch.tv/American_sushi and on
Underscore.
YouTube. What?
nothing. Continue.
On YouTube and Spotify is the American Sushi Podcast. Is there other places we're at?
I mean, we're on Spotify. I don't know if you said that.
I did say Spotify, but there's also Too Spooky on YouTube. And I'm Blue4 on Twitter, so follow us. Our things are in the description. And
They are indeed.
we end with a really fun quote or game question. Something.
It's my turn.
Oh, thank God.
Whoever does the game does the question.
Thank the
And it's
Lord.
my turn. So here's what I'm gonna ask. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So, why is the mozzarella cheese song the best composed piece of what's even the word to describe
Pizza
it?
mozzarella.
Like, this transcends music. Okay, this is more than that.
Iconic.
We'll just say the best composition ever made to man. Ever
the
made
best
to man.
sequence of
mankind.
words. The
Yes.
best written piece of literature to occur in the world.
Yes. In elegant form. Why is that the best?
yeah,
Please
explain it to
explain
us.
below the philosophy of the mozzarella song.
It's very good.
Thank you, and
Good
bye.
night.
I was going to say goodnight, but then I said bye.
Ooh,
So.
you didn't, dweeb.
Okay. Well,